Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's the Riker Zone, also known as the MCU Crew, every other week. Jesse, you just losing yourself in the music?
The music of my soul, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's official.
Oh?
It's official.
Oh?
It's official, right off the top.
What's official?
It's official.
What's official?
Charlie Cox.
What?
Oh, yes.
What?
It's official.
Your brother?
It's official.
Your brother's
Charlie
Daredevil?
Cox, my brother from another mother, is Daredevil. And
do
frankly,
all Coxmen know each other? Is that a thing?
It's true. We all
use the secret Cox network.
We all meet at Olive Garden on Friday at 7. Unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks.
Incredible.
And we talk about what the Cox clan's gonna do
Incredible.
in the future. Mm-hmm.
Remarkable.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a great sponsor too, really. I mean, you get a limited breadsticks and soup, yeah.
I'm so hype. That's exactly what I wanted. Not for the look, I love Charlie Cox. And frankly, I love all the Netflix characters.
Uh-huh.
Even ones I probably shouldn't. But here's the thing.
Iron Fist, big fan.
Charlie Cox means high likelihood of Vincent D'Onofrio. And frankly,
we already saw his hand.
I am very excited about that possibility.
We already saw his hand. 100%.
I hope that was his hand.
That was
not
his
just
hand.
like find another fat hand.
Yo, you got a fat hand, camera guy? We haven't signed the contract yet. We can't get Vincent. We can't get Vincent. We need a fat hand. We'll get to the hand. We'll get to the laugh. We'll get to the Cox soon. Both of them, both Charlie and Jesse. Bronze, how's it going? How you doing?
Good. I'm like in a reminiscent mode now because me and Jesse were just talking about the mall.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Nothing good ever
Orange
happens
Julius.
at the mall.
Not anymore, that's for sure.
Not anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Was that wait, you had to go to the mall to get an Orange Julius?
Are you? Oh no, you're gonna make me say this? Are you gonna make me say this?
What? No, I know what an Orange Julius is. I'm just saying.
No, I had a dream that Bronze and I were at the mall together. I'm not saying it was a date.
Story here,
but it's potential it was a date because we started in the middle of it. You know how dreams work. We were in the middle of it.
Okay.
We were at the food court.
Were you in the middle of it, or were you in the middle of it?
I mean, like
in the middle of the interaction, I think, not in the middle of the mall. Because the food court's never in the middle of the mall.
It's always, well, unless you go to the Del Amo in Torrance, California. It's right in the middle of the mall. Anyway, it's like on a sky bridge between two malls. It's very cool.
Whoa.
Anyway.
Fancy.
Yeah, I know.
The
last time I went there was 4 years ago.
A lot of money wasted.
Changed. But we were just like the dream started in the middle of like us at the food court. And I think I was, you know how sometimes I think I might be stretching because it was a dream, so I'm not quite sure. But you know how they have that like chicken teriyaki place in every mall where it's like you get the chicken and the rice and then like the veggies? That's what I was eating. Anyway, it was one of those dreams. I have a series of dreams throughout my life every so often. Usually when I eat pizza right before bed, I have a series of dreams where I'm like stuck in a mall. And this time, Bronze was just in the mall with me. And like I said, why was Bronze there? I feel like there was a potential date going on, and it was going very well until shit went down at the mall, and I ended up trapped at the mall as usual. But like, up until then, I bet it was lovely.
Bronze, let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. Jesse, you're not here for a moment. How would you feel about a date where a person takes you to the mall in 2021, Bronze? How do we feel about that?
Well, see, that...
Not just a person. We're not saying Jesse. Could be anyone.
Okay.
How do we feel about
anyone.
It? Yeah, anyone. Anyone's like, hey, let's go to the mall later. We're going to get some chicken teriyaki and maybe some chocolate from that favorite chocolate store that no one goes into anymore. How do you feel about it?
Oh, gosh. Okay.
We go to Petridge Farm, though. Like, just think about it. We get free samples at Petridge Farm. All right, anyway.
If it wasn't Jesse, it would be weird. But if it was Jesse, I'd be like, oh, me and Jesse are reliving the glory of the 2000s.
Okay. So
But
you're
if it
saying,
was not
man,
Jesse, I'd be like, oh, you're going to murder me.
man.
At the mall notorious for taking people.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
murdering.
no one would be there to see it, so it sounds like a perfect place for it. It sounds like a great kill spot.
In an abandoned
Dexter's entire new series. It's
Barnes
about taking people to malls and killing them. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Is that true?
In one of the many shuttered, empty shops there, I would get murdered.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird way to start a show. I never know where we're going to go. This was my doing.
You asked this.
This is my doing. It's
Trust
great.
me, there isn't a day that I'm like waking up thinking about malls. Like, man, I miss the nostalgia of going to Babbage's. Like, but I do. Actually, now that I think about it, man, Babbage's.
Babbage's is
I
good.
do.
Yeah, I kind of miss that. My Babbage's was right across from the Petra's Farm, which is why I remember Petra's Farm. So we'd all go over and get we get free snacks, and then we'd go over to Babbage's and not buy anything, but stay there for like an hour and a half.
The snack that I remember the most from malls was, I forgot the name of the restaurant or the place, but they basically sold mini corn dogs. And they were the best thing in the fucking universe. And I could only get them when I was at the mall.
Auntie Anne's.
No, it wasn't. Auntie Anne's did exist, but it wasn't an Auntie Anne's. I still stand by the
corn dog.
Yeah, I still stand by the cinnamon pretzel bites. Those are godlike. Very good. Anytime I'm in a fucking airport, you could smell that shit from like 3 terminals away. You just follow your nose.
That's not wrong.
You get a cup of just sugar with like some dough in it as well. Oh, it's fantastic. It's great stuff. Great stuff. I don't know what the name of that store was. Maybe it was like All American Food or something. Because I think wasn't that an AW root beer?
An A&W root beer?
That might have been that.
Oh my God.
It could have been that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I used to love A&W back when it existed.
Yeah.
If you're in the Midwest, that shit still exists.
It does. It does, yeah.
I was reminiscing with Jesse over how there was a time where, and I don't know if anybody else agrees with this or if this is still an experience, where you could go into a game store and find something that you wanted to buy that you didn't potentially know existed or you hadn't heard of. But I don't feel like I've had that experience in like 10 years. Like now when I go to, okay, first of all, I don't remember the last time I went to a game store, but even then, like I know what game I'm anticipating and what day it's coming out down to the time. But like,
same.
I remember going to like, especially retro game stores or just like, game crazies or playing trades and stuff. Being like, oh, what's this game? I'm going to get it. And like taking it home. And now that's like not really a thing. And I kind of miss going to game stores, but I also legit have no reason to go inside them. Like I know exactly what games I want.
It's true. It's big. Yeah, it's very true. A lot of like game stores, at least the like mom and pop ones, have also just become like hobby stores now. They have a bunch of like statues and toys and crap like that that's been marked up, so they can get a little bit of profit on it, as well as like the normal price, which is usually pretty expensive as well. They don't necessarily sell games anymore unless it's like retro stuff, right? They try to get like the certified retro stuff and go in the hobby or the collector grade crap. Jesse,
this is how you know you are old. This is the sign of being an elder / geriatric millennial. Here you go. Entering a Sam Goody, heading to the back corner.
Sam Goody
the
music
anime
store?
section. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
They also sold DVDs. Heading to the back corner where they had all the anime shit in like this weird area that you kind of felt dirty in, where it was like what is this weird? And it was, by the way, it was called Japanimation.
No, that's just liking anime in the early 2000s. You just felt dirty. That's just how that.
Yeah,
that's
just
what
I'm saying.
Was. Yeah.
That's what it was like. This weird. They put everything in like the back. Like it was kind of like almost behind some curtains. Like you don't want to go back there. That's where the tentacles are. It was wild. It was a wild time.
Yeah.
You had to walk through all the CDs, past the cassettes. They still had cassettes for some reason. Past the cassettes, past the things that were between CD and MP3. There was something else, and I can't remember, but it was like a micro CD or some shit. And those existed just like how there were laser discs.
Right.
Oh yeah, laser discs were a thing. My mom loved
Mini
laser
disc. Wasn't that a Sony platform, like a mini disc? I think Sony tried to make that happen. Yeah.
Let me tell you, it was y'all miss it. If you weren't around for that like late 90s, early 2000s transition in like technology, they were just throwing shit at the wall, like hoping something would stick.
It's true.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
The future, man.
It's the future.
Well, isn't it because they were still concerned with the technology in terms of like how do we create something that's affordable, portable, and doesn't like compress the music too much, and now we just don't fucking care?
Correct.
I mean,
because people tell me I'm insane, but like if you listen to a song, I listened to the whole OST for Death Stranding on vinyl. It is a completely like it's amazing. It is insane to listen to that on vinyl versus in the game. Like,
are we going to become
a
vinyl podcast now? Jesse's got me on this shit.
Literally,
I guess
that
my
experience.
wife did because her company sent me a fucking...
Wait, are all three of us vinyl people?
I'm not vinyl yet. I'm a vinyl is en route person.
Oh yeah, I even you know what's crazy?
I
have a lot of vinyl, and most of it's like 60s and 70s Japanese rock, which is wild. But the vinyl I've started collecting recently is like video game soundtracks, and
yes.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna put myself out there. The very first video game vinyl I got was Life is Strange. Put myself out there.
But that has a great soundtrack. No, that has an amazing soundtrack. Yeah.
Wait, is Kings of Leon on that soundtrack? Did they put him on the soundtrack even though he's in the game? Oh, you're saying the first Life is Strange. Okay. I was talking about the very first one.
Yeah. And then I just kept collecting all of them, and then even the Final Fantasy 14 vinyls are like, when you hear a song that you've heard a million times in the game, but on vinyl, and it's still, you're like, I never even knew that was in the background of that song. Oh yeah, it's good. Oh, it's and I think I learned to tolerate stuff because back in the day, it was when you're on Napster and LimeWire, the file versions you would download, you're like, oh, this new song just came out, and it was like 96 kbps or whatever. Just terrible. Just like you're like, but I didn't have to copy it off the radio and put it on a cassette. You were just happy. You didn't have to do that. Yeah. It's a different time.
Yeah, my brother is really into records, and I always thought it was, having lived in Portland for a small period of time, I always thought it was like, oh, these people are just,
they got their roots in them.
Stuck up. Yeah, like they've just invested too much. I used to be kind of judgy about it. But then it was the same thing for me, Jesse. The first time I heard a video game like soundtrack on vinyl, I was like, no, they're not lying. I think we're compressing it a lot digitally because
100%.
It doesn't sound like it sounds in the game. It sounds like a completely different experience. I think one of my first ones was the Doom vinyls. If you don't buy anything else, just buy the Doom vinyls. They're so good. They're so insane.
I couldn't play those. If I have too many neighbors that would be like, "Are you okay? What's going on?"
You're like,
you're
shut
shredding
up!
Through hell.
I'm summoning the devil. We're going to Mars. Get in here.
Yeah. I'd invite them in.
Yeah.
It definitely is a different experience, but mostly vinyl is a solid, I've got to clean my apartment and I don't have time to like scrub through songs kind of vibe. Because the convenience of having an MP3 is like, oh, I can choose what I want. A vinyl is like, yo, you're playing the entire side, enjoy. So you better have an album you love, because that's you're in for the entire thing.
I had not considered that. I might not like that for convenience sake. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I was definitely talking about that in terms of like song arrangement. Like because I like to listen to a lot of 80s music and like Toto and all that. So when I was listening to it, I was talking about it on stream where I was like, some albums, the way they were arranged back in the day, it like took you on a journey. Like you were going someplace with how the songs were arranged on the album. And I love like especially Iron Maiden records for that. But the other thing is like, I feel like when I'm cleaning or doing work and I'm listening on a digital device, I stop to fast forward. But like with vinyls, you're just like, well, It's out of my hands now. And there's almost something for me that's like anxiety reducing about that, where I'm like, we're just going to listen to this whole thing and fold laundry because that's what we're doing today, Like, it's out of my hands.
All right. Well, now you've convinced me. Now I got to follow up Jesse's text messages and actually order that shit that he recommended me. So, see how it goes. Anyways, let's talk some MCU Crew. Let's get into this Daredevil casting stuff. The quote, I don't know what Mr. Feige thinks he's fooling. This quote is something else. The full quote from Cinema Blend, who broke this story, is, if you were to see Daredevil in upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, how we see that, when we see that, that remains to be seen. Like, what? Come on, Kevin. What are we doing here? Just fucking just say it. That shit's already been leaked. What are you doing? The same people that will read that comment are the same people that already know that there's leaked photos of him being in Spider-Man as his fucking lawyer, right? It just seems kind of whatever. Seems whatever.
They have a history of not acknowledging their leaks, though.
True.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Like, they just are like, we don't like you. We're not going to trust you.
Well, they probably
we're not going to acknowledge you.
I wouldn't be surprised if they blacklist the people that caused those leaks in a lot of ways. That would be very corporate of that level to do. But I don't even know where that initial photo came from. If that was just like a set leak or someone, I don't know. I don't know where the initial photos came, but he will probably be in that Spider-Man movie here in about 2 weeks, something like that. I think is when that comes out. I
am like, I don't know what the hell this movie's about to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to I was thinking about this the other day because they interviewed Willem Dafoe and oh my God, my brain just died.
Otto.
Who's the actor who plays Doc Ock?
I think it's just Doc Ock. I don't know the actor's name.
So they just got the actual doctor.
Yeah.
And Jamie Foxx. Someone in chat will tell me. I literally can't remember his name right now. And
Alfred Molina. There you go. You're right.
Alfred Molina. Great actor. Anyway,
Mr. Molina, yeah.
They interviewed the three of them, and it said like the villains of Spider-Man, and I was like, okay. So then all the other villains in the trailer are not being interviewed, and they all appeared to be CG in some way. So I'm wondering if those are all because it seems like too much. You know what I mean? So I wonder if that scene we get where he's like, they're all coming through, if at the end it's like a villain battle royale instead of it being like, we spent a lot of time understanding Sandman's motivations. Like, instead it's just him at the end showing up and there's a fight, instead of it being like, yeah, this is very important to the story. So I don't know.
Yeah. It could be. If they're going for like a Sinister Six, though, I would feel like they're going to build up to that, right? And then they'll have like their anti-Avengers moment where it's the Sinister Six, like doing their superhero poses or something on like the top of a building. You would think.
But how do they do that without including Vulture?
Oh, because he's still in jail?
Like, they literally set up at the end of the very first Spider-Man MCU movie.
Yeah.
They set up like Vulture meets
probably a prison
Scorpion.
break. Or maybe, how long was he in prison for? Do we know how long is, maybe he's out. It's been a couple of years.
No, he's still, like, the whole setup is that he's still there, right?
I don't know.
It just seems like there's a lot that they'd have to do in this film, which makes me think that we're not going to get any Sinister Six stuff. We might get the start of something, like maybe, I don't know, rather than sending them back to their own reality, maybe like Alfred Molina gets stuck here and then he's put in jail, and then like, Vulture and Scorpion are like, what up, bro?
Yeah.
Want to get into some shit? I don't know. It just seems like so much is happening in this movie. I don't know how you can tell the tale of all the villains plus Spider-Man plus Doctor Strange plus multiverse plus keep in Peter's, love life and friendships and all the schooling stuff that is going to be included, plus J. Jonah Jameson, plus, like, it seems a lot. like a lot. So I feel like a lot of what we're gonna see is, like Sandman's in it for 5 minutes total, that kind of thing, and he's just there because everyone knows he exists. And now we're gonna throw him into a fight.
Right.
I have no clue.
Could be the case.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate anymore. I just want the friggin' movie to come out.
Where are you guys at, like, hype level wise?
Tired.
I don't know if I'm like, I'm trying to think where I'm at. Maybe Eternals like simmered the hype down or something for me. Or I might just be involved in like too many other things where I'm like, no, I'm going to see that, but I'm doing a lot right now.
I'm
might
there.
be the case as well.
Mentally I'm there where I'm like, I just need it to come out at this point. Just see it and be done with it. You know how like when people talk about something for too long, does anybody else just get like, humbug? That's me.
You can reach a point for it.
Overexposed.
Or I'll reach a point for it.
So like for me, I feel like I'm just like, and I understand that that's like our job, which is why we've like talked about all the trailers and stuff like that. But I'm also like, this point, just need to see it and know, because these fuckers haven't told us anything.
True. That is true.
Because I don't see what the harm would be in saying, oh yes, all the Spider-Man are gonna be in it, and like nope. And so we're just still speculating.
Come to think of it, when you compare it to something like Endgame, there really has been like kind of everything leaked in this movie, but you don't know the like we know the who, but we don't know the why, right? We know that like there's multiple Spider-Men. We know that there's fucking Charlie Cox in it, but all but confirmed at this point. But we just don't know the why. So that does kind of suck, because there definitely hasn't been, that I know of, or that I can think of off the top of my head, there hasn't been a Marvel movie that's had like this many leaks before the movie.
Which is why I know that all of those people are actually in it. That's how I know, because I think it's the bigger a production gets, the harder it is to keep that shit under wraps.
Which is incredible when you think back to like
you have involved.
Yeah, to Endgame. Like, how the fuck do they keep all that? It's wild.
But to a certain extent, we knew everybody who was going to be in the movie, though. So that helped.
True.
With, like, we didn't have to hide their photos on set and stuff like that. But with this, like, how do you hide their photos on set? And the other thing about Endgame that can't be discounted is that these are all people that I'm pretty sure had at least one or multiple MCU properties under their belt, versus a bunch of actors who don't. So like when they're tweeting and we're looking at those tweets and we're like, okay, so Vincent D'Onofrio is in the film. It's because, like, no offense to any of these actors, but most of them are not vetted for MCU stuff. This is like their first MCU thing. And so half of the time these people just be spoiling shit because they don't know how to hide it. And I think it was Tom Holland that would just spoil shit when he first started in the MCU too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it got to the point that they would send him on press conferences with other actors, and the other actors would be like, Tom, no. And they would literally put their hand on his mouth. I think it was Robert Downey Jr. No, it was Benedict Cumberbatch at one point put his hand on his mouth because he would just say stuff that they were like,
fucking stop, right? Yeah, that became a meme.
You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah,
like, because he spoiled that there was another Spider-Man movie before they even announced it. He's like, well, and in the next one, you're gonna see that. And I could see his co-stars next to him like, did you just say that there's another movie? And he was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. And they're all just like, oh my fucking God. Like, this kid just spoils everything.
Yeah.
So I think you're having that effect compounded because you just have so many people. And so, like, the scope of this movie is like a crossover film. And that just makes the likelihood for leaks increase.
It's true.
I think that's something that we're going to see a lot of. I know that we had the start of Phase 4 seemed like a lot of origin story stuff, even though one of them was a time traveling back kind of like not origin story, but whatever the case may be. We had a lot of like single character movies. I listened to an interview the other day with Benedict Cumberbatch about Multiverse of Madness, and the way he said it, because someone asked him about solo movies, and he starts talking about like, yeah, this is my second solo movie, but the way he starts talking about it, it seems very much like he acknowledges it's a solo movie, but at the same time, it is clearly not.
Sure.
And he said something about like the amount of time each character has on screen, or something like that. And basically, like, it's gonna be like him and Wanda, and like it's gonna be crazy. And I think we're gonna see a lot of that
I think
happening.
That's where we're going, right? Like Marvel's realized and known really for, they haven't realized, they've known for so long that like those team up movies, you don't just get a Doctor Strange fan. Now you get a Doctor Strange fan and a Wanda fan and a, whatever fan, a Spider-Man fan, all those people compounding into one movie is going to sell a lot more tickets than just like a single movie about Doctor Strange.
Shuma fans?
Yeah.
All my Shuma fans out there, it's time.
The fucking degenerates, the Shuma fans.
I like that eyeball.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I think the crossover films are a lot more fun, right? Like the interesting part, and I think the reason why the MCU works so well is because it's awesome to see a Doctor Strange and a Spider-Man interact, or a Doctor Strange and a Wanda interact, right? Because otherwise, just like Doctor Strange and random person, like I don't care about random person. I want to see like some other superhero talking to another superhero, right? Like that's cool.
It just makes it. It just makes it more complicated because I'm over here like, oh well, the Doctor Strange verse is we have the Doctor and we have Wong and we have Morda. What the hell is that guy's name? My brain. Yeah, and we have them and like, oh, that's a story that should be wrapped up. But we're also going to include this and this and this and this, and Wanda now has that Darkhold and like all these different things. And it does always seem like the MCU walks a fine line between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, if that makes any sense to the old people out there. It's like this could be amazing, or we could have 18 villains and none of it be good. Well, and that's the line they walk constantly.
Yeah. And I think they've always been on the right to that line, right? Like you saw, we've seen them do insane feats of storytelling where it has quite literally every character from the MCU at that point, and every villain, well, a lot of villains from the MCU at that point. And like they haven't gone overboard with it yet. They haven't gone the wrong way. Mm-hmm. So we haven't had that stinker crossover just yet. We've had a lot of stinker one-offs or like origin stories. But I can't think of like a bad movie when it comes to a crossover movie. So, and I don't know if that's just because it's, a bunch of creative teams, or if that's Feige at the top that's like leading that charge when it comes to actually being careful with the IP mixing. But yeah.
Oh, by the way,
we'll see.
Speaking of Wanda, while we're talking about Wanda,
okay. What's up with Wanda, Jesse?
What's up with? Well, I don't know, and I don't know. Obviously, we didn't have this show during WandaVision.
What?
Right? Like we didn't. We did.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about WandaVision.
I was very offended when I was like, "Yeah, we did." We told. Oh, that was just in my head. Sorry. Yep. Nope. Yeah. I had those shows every Monday in my head.
So I went back and I don't know why I did this, but I ended up watching there's like, YouTube, different React channel things.
Okay.
And for some reason, I clicked on this React video and I watched it and I was like, oh, I love that. But then it had the immediate follow-up video, because I wasn't paying attention, it like started playing automatically, was people reacting to the episode of WandaVision where Agatha takes her through her past, right? Where she like takes her through the doorways. And in that episode, which I clearly forgot, when the Stark bomb lands, Wanda holds out her hand and Agatha's like, you stopped it from going off. Like you had the power to. So I've spent years thinking that Wanda got her stuff from the stone testing. But really, what that show was saying is that Wanda always had the witch powers.
Yeah, she had it innately, and the stone just like amplified it.
Yeah, and so now I'm like, so is she a mutant? Oh yeah, I totally forgot that. Now I'm like in my own head,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, was she always a mutant?
No, she was a witch.
I think it's also why she survived the stone, because don't they show people like
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly
they
why.
just
Yeah.
disintegrate.
are
Yeah.
dying. Yeah, and the
I totally
reason
forgot that was a
she
plot point.
doesn't
I was
is
like,
because she already has power. Yeah.
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 I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot of
She and
like
her
things
brother.
she's got in her camp. She's like a Nexus entity, right? At least canonically.
Yeah, I mean, they even say in the show, like they drop Nexus all the time. That's why I was just like, oh, there's every time someone's like, yeah, she's gonna do mutant this and mutant that. And I'm like, actually, technically, mutants aren't in the MCU yet, but like maybe they are. Maybe that's what that show was saying. Like, Wanda, you stopped it without having infinity power. I'm like,
yeah, could be.
Holy shit. So yeah, that happened 2 days ago, and I was just like, oh my God, did I miss this?
Yeah. Well, let's the big question right now, jumping back to Daredevil, I shouldn't say question, the conversation now about all this Daredevil confirmation with Charlie Cox being back, and etc. is this idea of like hard reboot, soft reboot. Do the next Netflix shows count? Is that canonical? Like what do either of you feel strongly one way? I think I'm okay with it just being canonical, and then they just kind of move forward with character and they pull whoever they want from the Netflix thing.
No.
And that's fine.
Well, yeah, that. I'm a firm believer
like,
in
no, fuck Daredevil. It's like,
no,
Bronze.
Yes.
Bronze. That's way too hot. That's way too hot of a take.
Well, okay, because like they're in a very unique position right now that they can pick and choose. So I don't think they should pull in a DC Comics New 52 where they just throw all of it out and those actors never get work again.
Right.
But I also don't think they should canonize all of it, because some of it was not fantastic and there was definitely a learning curve there. But I think most of us were just lamenting that I think we thought that Marvel was like going to completely disassociate from those properties, and therefore those actors weren't going to get another chance. And I think that was where our heartache was, not necessarily with, oh, these shows have to be canonized and live forever, because those shows exist in their own pocket of space and that's fine. It was that, so this means we're never going to get another D'Onofrio Kingpin. This means we're never going to get another Bernthal Punisher. Like, that really sucks, because having that character recast for the films is just for no other reason than he was in a Netflix series that he killed, by the way, is such a horrible reason to recast.
Yeah.
So I hope that Marvel, like, I don't even need them to canonize what happened in the shows. I don't even need them to be like, oh no, all of that exists. As long as they're open to the idea of the same people playing those characters and then changing the story to fit what they already have or to take it in a direction they want to take it, I'm cool with it. I say freaking go for it.
They could also just straight up say like, oh yeah, that was a variant. All that show was a variant.
I mean, Bronze, that's the best take. Absolutely the best take. I could care less what they say about the past as long as the actors are back. Because those actors, the ones they cast, especially in Daredevil's
cast was phenomenal. Yeah.
Perfect casting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Punisher was phenomenal. Like there's a lot there to work with.
Yeah.
And so giving those actors a chance in the MCU, I think is great. And
Jessica
it doesn't
Henwick,
matter
bring her back.
Yeah,
I don't even think Danny Rand's character actor was bad. I think that's a whole nother story. But go ahead.
Look, I think that, in fact, I would love it if they gave Danny Rand a shot with a story that wasn't ass.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I would be thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Same, same with all the series. I don't know that I would canonically like the Defenders the way they did it, but whatever.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the Hand, right? Like they need to just redo the Hand entirely.
Yeah,
I guess
I don't think the Hand was done very well.
The whole Netflix universe, yeah.
But I love what they did with saying, yeah, we love these actors and we're going to use them, and I don't care if they retcon anything as long as I get to see Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio like beat the crap out of each other again and have like great repertoire. I'm good. I'm good.
Just to see D'Onofrio and Spider-Man on screen together, like not even fighting. I think fighting is like the ultimate dream right there. But just like chewing a scene together, it'd fucking be incredible. Because in the comics, Kingpin and Spider-Man, they have a shit ton of history. There's a lot of stuff between the two of them. And I think Holland and D'Onofrio would be fantastic on screen together. I think any of those actors on screen together would be great. And it sets up, this whole idea of like street level Marvel. They could really push that and drive that narrative while also having, the cosmic bullshit. And go with different tones for all of those different levels of superhero dumb, etc. And
now my dream movie can happen.
What's that?
You get Daredevil, Spider-Man, Deadpool, one film.
And Wolverine. Get Wolverine. Put Wolverine in there.
Oh yeah, and then Wolverine, and it's literally just Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It makes no sense. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
God, that would be that would literally be the perfect movie. I would have so much fun with that.
The dream would be they walk into a random bar and Hugh Jackman is sitting at the bar drinking a beer, and then like the episode ends. Could you imagine the internet? If that didn't get leaked, the internet would actually, I think that would break the internet. I think it would actually happen. I think the internet would just shatter.
I'd fanboy so hard in a way that
I would lose my goddamn mind.
Not flattering. I would be like, yeah.
Me and Aaron would probably be watching that episode together, and afterwards she would be like, "You're a fucking savage. You need to leave this house right now.
You need to go.
You gotta go."
Like foaming at the mouth, like it's those videos of like when young girls would see the Beatles, like.
Except it's a 30-year-old grown man.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I've kind of come close to having a reaction like that to, which I think hurt the marketing of the film, was at the end of Split realizing it was in the same universe as Unbreakable. I definitely had that moment where I was like,
at the time.
Yeah.
I was on a plane watching that movie, and when it happened, I like looked around, like, did anyone else just see that? Because that was like I was blown away. I thought everyone on the plane was watching with me for a moment. I was like, oh.
I watched it on video on demand, didn't even see it in movie theaters, and was like, this is actually kind of an interesting movie. Like, why didn't people like this, And I'm watching it. At the end, I'm like, like realizing it was in the Unbreakable universe. I was like, the Shalimon verse is a thing. I was just
good moment.
Why didn't they market it with that?
Here's the thing. The reason that moment was so good is because no one knew that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so hard, especially when it comes to something as big as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to keep shit secret. Which is why like this Spider-Man pop-off stuff, if we went into that movie not knowing that like Toby and Andrew were in it, that would be, I mean, it's still going to be insane because they haven't confirmed it. It's still going to be awesome to see them on screen, etc. But like, if we didn't know that shit was happening, could you imagine the pop-offs and the people losing their mind? They'd be running up and down the aisles. It'd be insane.
There's a video of from N Walker. It's somewhere in India, and I do not know where.
Okay.
But they're like setting off fireworks and like losing their minds. And I'm gonna let you know.
That's what I want.
I want to be in that theater for if all 3 Spider-Men show up. I want to be in that theater.
100%.
That would be a riot. I'd be like, yeah.
That's why I was
get on fire.
I like. There was an internal whatever within me when I went to buy tickets for Spider-Man. It's like, oh, this is sold out. I wanted to be in that theater because like seeing Marvel movies in a sold out crowd where everyone's invested in the fucking movie is awesome.
Sure.
When they actually like freak out at the proper moments, they don't fucking talk. Like that's why you go see that stuff in the theater. But now with like COVID and everything, it's like, well, do I want to get sick and have a bad time, or do I want to enjoy this movie for the first few weeks? Right? It's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
It's really interesting because, like, you're right, Jesse. We have like a very devoted movie culture in India to the point that
incredible.
Our most beloved film of all time, Chole, is from the 70s, I think, and we still do annual showings of it in movie theaters, and the movie theater sells out. That's
great.
How much we love that movie.
Dude, I
like that for 40 years. We're still just like, every time that movie comes to movie theaters, it sells out because we just like that movie that much.
Did I tell you about my first
I love that.
experience into Bollywood, Bronze? Did I mention
No,
this
which
to you?
movie was it?
Me and Jericho, we do a show on Mondays, where we watch just whatever is on Amazon. We do a watch party of it.
You mean today? You mean like
there's not
Monday
an episode today? Jericho's in Mexico. This motherfucker.
I tried to help you. Jericho's in
Dude, that guy's living a different life. It's different.
I want to let you know. I see all his tweets. And
Yeah,
like
no,
everyone
it's just
who,
a
like,
different
in
life.
his like circles tweets. I'm like, these people,
Yeah.
damn kids,
Yeah.
living
100%.
life,
100%.
celebrating their
Fuck 'em.
existence. I hate
Fuck 'em.
them.
Every time I
like,
see
look
him,
at 'em.
every time I see him, I make sure he's grounded. I tell him he's a piece of shit over and over.
Good. Someone has to.
Yes. Anyways, we decided that we were going to take our first adventure into Bollywood, and we watched. I know it's not a good one, but let me tell you, it was a good one. We didn't even watch the first one. We watched Doom 2. Do you know what this is?
Oh, Doom. Yeah.
Let me tell you. Let me fucking tell you. The opening sequence of that film, within 15 minutes,
Yeah.
I was losing my shit. I was dying, hysterically laughing.
Yeah.
And for the next 2.5 hours, it was incredible. It was incredible. And now I'm just like, I got to watch more Bollywood films. This is great.
What's funny is like, even we don't consider that a great film. We consider it an entertaining film.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is, I think, a lot of people don't understand about Bollywood. They're like, oh, your guys' films are stupid because you're stupid people. And it's like, no. We just don't feel like everything has to be explained.
Dude.
We're just like, oh, it's a fun movie. Let's just let it go. You know?
Jesse, I'm going to have you seen this movie? Doom 2?
I have. Specifically, I want to let you know, every time I travel overseas, usually on the planes, because you're traveling overseas, they have a selection of like not American made movies.
Yeah.
That's all I watch exclusively.
Oh my God.
So not only have I seen it, I've seen many of them.
Dude.
And I'm trying to find.
I was going to say, I was like, there's a whole series.
Oh, yes. Oh, I've seen many of them.
I was told not to watch Doom 3 and Doom 1 because Doom 2 is like the fucking banger. It's great.
What is the name of the movie? It's like like a war epic.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Bahubali?
Maybe the one where they use like sheets to like fly through the air and like throw guys into like battle and shit. It's incredible.
There's one. Someone sent me a scene of one where these people are on the this army is trying to get inside of this like giant fortress, and they're having a bad time. They're not able to do it. So then they like have this, it might have been what you just described. They somehow launch all of these soldiers that then put the shields and have a giant like barrel, and they're just launching these fucking guys. And it's incredible. It's one of the best scenes.
I'm linking this in chat for everyone.
Yeah. Bahubali.
That's what that is.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
This is it. Oh my God. I love this. This is just the scene, the red blanket fire
I haven't
scene.
seen
This
this.
is it. This is the thing I'm talking about. This movie is amazing. Save it for later, JP. This movie is fire. The whole thing is wild. I love. This is the type of movie I love. I go to the movies to be entertained. And frankly, it's the most entertaining shit I've ever seen. I was like, yes, it's great. I think it's the whole scene.
There's definitely some. Yeah, the movie's hilarious. There's definitely some things that, as an Indian person, get ashamed of.
Which Bahubali or Doom 2?
Bahubali, especially. Yeah, because like they have this very much this vibe, which if you might not even notice it if you're not thisy, but if you are, then you pick up on it right away. Where all the good guys are fair skinned, and all the bad guys are dark skinned, and they do that type of colorism shit a lot. So that part is that I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing.
Well, there's two wild parts. One, we played how much do you think this actor's worth? We were off by like tens of millions every single time. There's one that was like 100 million plus in Doom 2.
Oh, Indian actors?
It's like, what the fuck?
My God, they're fucking rich. So,
they're insanely rich. They all have like beauty product. All the females have like additional modeling and like beauty product contracts and all this shit.
That's because they're beautiful.
Just like American.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
It's because they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they make a shit ton of
money. And then half of them are like former Miss India's Miss Universes too. Yeah. And it's really interesting because like we talk about how in Hollywood, it's like very small and everyone like, it's all about connections, like, oh, so-and-so is so-and-so's director's daughter. And
Yeah.
Even when you look at like the MCU, like Elizabeth Olsen is the Olsen twins' sister, and like so a lot of it is obtained through like connections, but like India is actually 10 times worse.
It seemed that when I would look them up, they were like, "Oh, that's this person's husband." And then that's this person's like best friend, where they worked on another film together.
Yeah, there's like 4 big families in India, and they're like all related, and they're worth tens and tens of millions of dollars.
Insane
own property in Dubai, own like property in New York City. They're like incredibly rich. It's frightening in some ways because they control all the media.
Right. Best thing. Yeah. Here's the best pitch for Doom 2. The guy comes out after it's basically it's Fast and Furious Bollywood style. Maybe even before Fast and Furious knew that Fast and Furious was Fast and Furious. So he comes out of this thing after like stealing something inside, and he's dressed as a janitor, and the fucking like costume that he's wearing is clearly awful. It just looks off. So then he's standing over a sewer grate, and the cops surround him. They walk up to him. They're like, "Can you give me your ID?" Blah blah blah. The guy somehow like hits a button, goes into the sewer pipe. You don't see him for like 10 seconds. All of a sudden, he burst out of another sewer pipe down the street, water and all. He's got rollerblades on, and it starts a chase sequence. And you're just like, this is fucking incredible. Like it goes 0 to like 2,000 within seconds. And it's some of the greatest shit. It's so stupid and so fun. And I had a blast watching. I was smiling the entire time. Anyways, I don't even know how we got on that subject. Oh, we were talking about I would love to be in some of those theaters watching MCU. Maybe we should all go take a trip to India and watch MCU films and see how it goes. See what the viewing experience is. And then we'll go to like Poland by contrast and watch the same film and see how that goes. It's got to be a different experience.
I feel like in general, we're very excitable people. Like watching C-SPAN here and then like watching any type of political debate in India, they'll start throwing microphones and shoes at each other. And here it's like when they get heated, it's not like that. And I'm like, but some of these people, when they're talking, are you telling me you don't want to throw your shoe at them? I definitely do.
Of course.
We just do it. Civil War. We like to really keep it down, bottle down until
we don't bottle up till Civil War. We bottled it up until we can get our phones out 5 minutes after the show's done and go on fucking Twitter.
You're right. And then we tweet.
And then we're assholes to each other.
Words on the internet. Yeah. That's really how we affect
change. We go to Twitter and fucking subtweet people. That's how we
really change the world through tweeting.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you guys want to talk some Hawkeye? Should we do episode 3 of Hawkeye?
Yeah,
isn't there something really liked episode we're not going to talk about the Spider-Verse trailer? Because I didn't watch it because I thought we were going to watch it on here.
Did you watch it, Jesse?
Are we going to watch it right now? Is this going to happen?
I thought we were going to watch it now. That's why I didn't watch it.
I could load it up, but we're going to have to keep the audio low and slow. Not slow, but sorry, I turned Texan for a second. Guys, we're going to grill this. We're going to smoke it at 200 Fahrenheit for 13 hours.
On some cherry wood.
On some cherry.
Gotta have that cherry.
Gotta have the oak, though. The oak is what makes it. Cherry oak.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a huge fan of that. Gotta have that Tennessee style.
We could watch it. Yeah. We could do a react to it if you guys would like. I gotta find the trailer, though.
I don't think any of us have seen it yet. I thought we were gonna wait. So, yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Let me. So, this is the second. Jesse, set this up. I gotta. What are we watching? What are we about to watch?
Well, if y'all remember, at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, as Miles was laying on his bed, Gwen shows up and is like, "Miles, yo, you want to do some stuff?" And I think that's the entire setup for what we're about to see. It's literally straight up just like the sequel to... Oh, the one thing I do know from everyone tweeting is that they straight up announce in the trailer, this is part 1 of 2.
Right.
Which is a ballsy move. I love that. I love they're just like, this is a 2-parter right out the gate. Deal with it. So amazing. What is in it? No clue. What the plot is? Don't have any idea. Maybe it relates to the extra credit. What is that? The bonus scene at the end with Spider-Man 2099 at the end of the last Spider. Maybe it has to deal with that. I truly don't know. I have no idea what this is because I have not watched it. I was waiting for you two beautiful souls.
All right. I think.
By the way,
good.
can I just say for the record, this conversation we just had is exactly the reason why everyone's hype about Spider-Man and leaking stuff. Because we were like, all right, let's talk Hawkeye. Whoa, never mind, Spider-Man.
Well, I think Bronze did it because it makes sense.
I mean, you're
production
right.
flow wise.
It always makes sense to talk about Spider-Man.
It's true.
Correct.
It's true. All right. I will say this for everyone watching: the audio will be actually low, the image is flipped, the opacity is down, and that is so this shit does not get fucking claimed to oblivion.
Yeah.
So
content creation.
That's content creation in 2021. All right. I don't have a fizz to unban me like Ludwig does. All right. That's gonna get only like 10 people are gonna get that comment because different audiences. Are you guys ready? Also, you two have to sync it up, so you got to open up the video on your own.
It's
all right. I'm going to go watch it right now.
One, right?
2 minute 29 seconds is what I got. You want me to send you a link?
Oh,
Into the Spider-Verse 2.
Because I'm on Sony Pictures. Oh, this is official trailer number 2. Okay, never mind. I'm on the wrong one.
You're on the wrong one. You're probably on the one for the first movie.
I'm good now. Yes, I'm on the right one now. Got it.
I'm at the Marvel Entertainment one. Yeah.
2 minute 29 seconds.
Which one are you at?
I'm on the Marvel Entertainment one as well.
229? Great. Tell me when to press play, dude.
All right, here we go. And
wait, hold on.
We're doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start for everyone watching on chat. Here we go.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. Oh, that's already too loud. What's the music? Oh, okay. It's DMCA, the song.
So this is directly the end of the last movie.
I haven't seen this movie in a hot minute. The animation, I forgot.
How have you been? It's a long story. Is this the room you grew up in?
It is, but my dorm room is very adult.
Right. No, of course. Hey, are these your drawings?
What? No, no.
Good.
Miles.
Aww.
Missed you too.
I just realized closed captioning doesn't work because it's flipped.
I mean, I thought I'd never see you again.
Want to get out of here?
I'm grounded.
Bummer. Is Spider-Man grounded?
Whoa, sick move.
I mean,
I love this. I love this already.
Whoa.
Oh, they're in India.
Yo!
Oh, shit.
Okay. Well,
we can't. I mean, okay.
so now we're going to the different parts of the Spider-Verse rather than the Spider-Verse coming to us.
I guess,
right?
yeah.
That's kind of what that means.
Yeah.
October 7th, 20. They literally are like, prepare yourself for the future. That, I forgot how much I enjoy the animation in that.
I'm right there with you.
So good.
Dude, the entire time, like, before I was starting to watch, it's like, I don't know if I want to, like, animation is what I don't remember it that well. And like Arcane is like so it fucking just looks so goddamn good. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to enjoy another animated movie. And then that just looks great. I'm into that.
Its art style is so like the way that the characters look and interact and the way the art direction's done is so good. And I am curious, based on the little bit that we saw of them try, if like every world is gonna have a different art style. And that could be a real
that could be wild, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. That was great.
God,
in my mind, it will, because each of the Spider-Verse characters had a very distinct art style.
Right. And the thing to think about too, like that first movie they did, because they only did each character from a monetary perspective, they saved a lot of money from not having to do an entire fucking world. Now they're like, oh, we actually made money with this and it did well commercially. So let's pump in a shit ton of money to do this. And let's do entire worlds, which I'm about. I don't know how they're going to be able to do that on the fact animation takes a very long time, and especially animation of that quality. So the fact that they're able to do like entire worlds of that quality is going to be very impressive. It'll be obscenely impressive.
Are we about to enter a Haley Steinfeld like renaissance?
What?
Is that what's, because that girl is everywhere.
Right, yeah, she's also playing Gwen, isn't she?
She's Gwen.
Yeah,
she was, speaking of Arcane, she was Vi in that.
Yeah,
she's in Hawkeye.
I think we're already in it. I think we're already in there.
Yeah, I think we're just like,
I think the Variety article Hollywood's next hot girl is coming out here pretty soon, because she's already everywhere.
God, she's in everything. Yeah. She's a very good voice, like not just actor but voice actor as well. Like it is man.
Yeah.
Good on her.
Yeah. That looks good. What do we think about it being 2 parts? Is that Sony throwing up their hands being like, all right, look, this is going to be way too much of a story to tell in a single film. Also, we can double dip and make a little bit more money on this. I guess it makes sense. I'm okay with it making sense as long as it's not like super staggered release. Like,
I think it's 1 year later.
Okay. I think that's the generally accepted time frame
for
something like that. That makes sense.
Honestly, I am like in. I love when, you can commit to, we're going to have a follow-up that's going to be the continuation of a thing, rather than like, we're going to do a second one, then the third one's like its own movie, I'm a huge fan of like, instead of it being technically like a 2.5 hour movie, we're going to get a 4 hour double feature kind of thing. I'm fine with that. I think it allows for the creatives to really flesh out a story rather than them trying to compress everything into one movie and hope they get another one. It's very Lord of the Rings, right? Where they were like, look, dude, we're going to give you 3 movies. Don't stress it. We're going to give you 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's a brave thing for a studio to do, because studios they don't do that stuff. That's just the thing they do not do. So, and I'll never call studios brave, except for this one case when they're like, yeah, all right, we'll let it happen. Which means they must have a lot of trust in those people who are running the ship there. So
yeah, I
hope for good things. Obviously, is it a cash grab? Obviously, that's what all movies are.
Right.
Like, let's not pretend. That's what everything is. But I hope for the consumer side we get something that we can really love. So I'm down for it, because first Spider-Verse movie was great.
There's no reason that has any MCU tie-in, right? Like
I would love it if
Madam
the
Web
MCU
doesn't show up in that, and then like she's the same actress or same voice actor, but now also acting in like the MCU or something. Would that be the tie-in?
Love it if they ended up, even for a brief moment, in the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
I was thinking about that, but I don't know how they would do it, because it'd be like
just animated Tom Holland.
Yeah, I guess that's how you would do it.
And they don't have to make it a big thing. They just end up there for like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then they move on. Or I'd be like, that'd be fine.
They show up at like the end of the movie where like the multiverse is breaking or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of it, right? Is that we're about to get wild, especially if they're going to add Venom and add that to the MCU, even though it's like its own weird thing.
Did you either of you watch the new Venom yet? By the way, it was up on HBO the other day, and I was like, should I watch this? I don't.
I haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't either.
Now that it's on video on demand, I might see it.
Bronze, you gonna watch my movie? You gonna watch my movie, Bronze?
You sound like Yoda tipping over into Venom. Am I wrong with him?
That's literally what his voice is, just deeper Yoda.
That's the Goop.
That is literally Venom's voice in those movies. They were like, Tom Hardy, give us a Venom voice. And he's like, Venom I am. They're like, lower. He's like, Venom I am. He's like, perfect, Tom. You nailed it, buddy.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I might need to check that out. I think it's on HBO Max. I think you just straight up watch it. I don't know if you have to buy it. You probably do. But yeah. Anyways.
The end of the movie, again, that bonus scene, literally Venom recognizes Spider-Man.
Right. And it's Tom Holland's and Jay Jones.
So I don't know what the rules are, man. I don't know how it works.
They're just kind of making it up as money goes along,
You are right. You are correct. Yeah.
As money goes along.
Yeah. That's how that stuff goes. But,
so true.
Yeah. That trailer looks good.
So
I'm excited for that. I'll watch them go through the fact that my 10-year-old brain is seeing Spider-Man 2099 in a fucking film is just kind of breaking me. I haven't adjusted from that yet. So that's a thing. Now
I'm curious how they're gonna do that, because that was like the edgelord Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that was like,
dude, his costume was fucking sick. It was badass.
Yeah,
had all the spikes.
It was like the angry Spider-Man. Yeah. Spider-Man that your mom wouldn't love. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's great. It was the edgelord era. That's exactly right, baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let's talk. Or Bronze. Sorry, I didn't. We moved right along, and you were the one that wanted to watch the trailer. Any other thoughts, Bronze, on the trailer?
No, it looks cool. I like it. I don't know. I think it's just such a fun movie that I have some. I think I'm alone in the camp of having some hesitation about it being broken into two parts.
Yeah.
But that's just because I really hope they give us a fully contained story in the first one.
Yeah,
the second one is
you're right. 100%.
I just get nervous when there's two parts to a film, because a lot of times that doesn't
They're
work
gonna cliffhanger it. Right? They're gonna get the story, do a giant cliffhanger, and then we're gonna have to wait a year. That's how that's gonna go.
It's very much like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Announcing the last movie is going to be 2 movies. And so all it was 1 movie of story and then 1 movie of 1 battle. And that was it.
Yeah.
And they do that often. So you have right to
they don't have enough. Usually they don't have enough content to make 2 films. So 1 film ends up suffering. And even with it, I just loved the first part and then disliked the second part of that so much. And I've experienced that so many times that I'm like, 2-part movies, usually my hackles come up with that, because 1 film is almost always a lot better than the second part.
Well, it gives you something to compare immediately, right? Your brain immediately goes, oh, I like the first one better. Oh, the second one's better than the first one, right? That's just, that's human nature, ultimately, is you immediately draw comparisons between the 2. But if I have faith that anyone, I feel like they kind of earned, kind of what Jesse said. That first one did so well that hopefully they can just make 2 great parts or 2 great films. And then when you go back and rewatch it, it's just 1 film. There's no cut. There's no credits. It just bleeds right into the second film. So we will see. All right, let's talk Hawkeye, episode 3. Bronze, I think maybe we should start with you. Did episode 3 win you over? Are you still not on board with the Hawkeye?
Episode 3 is once again selling me on this 2-part thing, where I think episode 1 and 2 should have been 1 fucking episode and that they spread it into 2. Because based off of how 3 went, I was like, this is the same fucking show. Are you fucking kidding me? I felt like 3 was
you got whiplash?
Head and shoulders. Yes. There was 3 actually moved the plot forward and established a better and I know I was really hard on episode 1 and 2, but I feel validated in that coming into 3, because I'm just no, episode 1 and 2 should have been 1 episode. I feel like when they dropped 2 episodes at once, they just filled it with a bunch of stuff I really did not care about. And in this one, like, that first 10 minutes with Echo, I was like, how did they establish this relationship so rapidly, non-verbally, half of it on camera so quickly? Clearly, the writers are capable of it.
Yeah.
Like, nothing felt like it stretched out. Nothing felt like it was like they explained things they didn't need to explain, especially with the time jump. Like, you see her as a kid and you see her as an adult, and you understand, okay, so her dad was a small-time criminal. Ronan killed her dad. This was, like, to all the people that are like, I don't know what she means by over-explaining. This is what I'm talking about. Episode 3 does not assume that you are so stupid you cannot fill in that her dad was a small-time criminal and that Ronan killed her dad. Like, it's just there. Like, you see it, you can draw your own conclusions, and you know why she's after Ronan now. I also want to say that first 5 minutes also just, like, broke me. Like, when she's like, I thought I was going to go to the deaf school, and he's like, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
I was so sad. Like, I was just like, this is so sad. And I feel like the episode talks so much about accessibility in a way that doesn't feel like it's trying to beat you over the head with it, but rather pointing out, like, these little things you take for granted, how hard that is. And my good friend Vicken was telling me how his barber is deaf, and that, like, it's so cool that he will FaceTime his wife and they will sign to each other. And I was like, I never even thought about that, but FaceTime must have been a game
Revolutionary.
changer.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't, so, like, seeing Hawkeye go through that in the episode where he literally can't hear his own son on the phone, like, it's something that you take for granted. And, like, having Haley Steinfeld's character, having Kate Bishop, like, help in that showed that, like, in some ways she's capable of being empathetic and seeing other people's struggles, because he specifically says at one point that she's a spoiled brat who's overconfident, which is how I felt, like, for coming in from episode 1 when I said, like, well, it's really hard to like her character right now. And people were like, oh, well, what do you mean? And I understand that take, but, like, I love that Hawkeye acknowledges it in episode 3 where he's like, you're overconfident. You don't, like, think about other people, and, you know, you're just oblivious. You're spoiled brat. And then, like, her finally kind of starting to come down and be like, oh no, I am a little bit, was, like, I think for me a big moment where it was like, okay, so she is growing, and that means I am liking her
Character
more and
growth,
more and
yeah.
more. Yeah, because if she was the same person she was in episode 1, it's even hard in places in episode 3, but then she immediately realizes she's being an ass, and that's where you feel vindicate. Like, that's where you feel like, okay, so I like her because she's doing something asshole-ish, and then she realizes she's doing it, and she stops. And, you know, for me, it was that subway scene where he says to her, like, 4 times, like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You just need to trust me. I can't hear you. And she's still, like, talking to him, and they're cutting to, like, him where he can't hear her. And I'm like, girl, he's told you 6 times. He can't hear you. And then when they're on the subway and he's repeating everything she just said, like, we should take the dog for a walk. And she sits there and she, like, smiles. It's a cute moment where she's like, he really can't hear me.
Yeah, she
He's not
accepts it.
being an ass. He's not ignoring me. And the way that she's just, like, patient in that moment, and she, like, nods her head and she, like, kind of laughs. I was like, she's starting to pick up on, like, he's not just being an ass. Sometimes he is. Sometimes he takes out his hearing aid just so he doesn't have to listen to her, and they show that later on. But, you know, so I loved episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3 has me sold on the rest of the series.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're on board. First off. Secondly, I think, agree with everything that you said, and will double down on the idea that I felt like this was the first moment where we got to see Renner act in the MCU. Like, he was actually able to straight up act. Like, I've seen Renner in so many other films, like Hurt Locker, where he's fucking phenomenal. And, like, he steals every scene that he's in that movie, and you're just immediately glued to whatever his character's doing. But he never, like, had the ability to do that, I think, because his character just never has the ability to do that. He's Hawkeye. He's with a fucking group of superheroes, and he's a normal dude. And so, like, this episode specifically, I think that we finally got to see Jeremy Renner act, and man, he was fantastic. And both him and Haley Steinfeld just bounce off each other so well in this entire episode. So I'm super excited for that. And I thought they handled, there's a lot of ways that opening and really the entire episode could have gone when it came to addressing him being deaf and how they handle that, and even Echo's character. And, there's a lot of ways to do that wrong. And I think they did everything right in that. And it seems like that's also being celebrated by I haven't seen anyone really hark on them doing that part wrong. And so I'm glad to see that's the case as well. It seems like episode 3 was the one that kind of solidified that, like, okay, they got something going on here. We'll see how this goes. There was obviously some bigger moments in terms of the larger MCU within the episode. Before we get to those, though, Jesse, your thoughts on the episode as a whole?
I think the two of you said everything that needs to be said, but I would like to add that, one, the tradition of Christmas song used for background during sneaky and or fighting bit continues. Love it. And that car chase was great. That car chase was great.
Dude, that was like a weird one-shot situation. Yeah, I had just forgotten about that till you mentioned it.
And the fact that they like straight up roasted every arrow that Hawkeye has, and they like straight up showed every single one like, this is what this arrow does. And I loved that. And I love that she was like, oh, you have this arrow? It's exactly the moment they needed. I loved every bit of that. And that scene alone established the camaraderie between the two of them. It established that he knows she can shoot and he respects her for that. And then she, learns more about him. And that's why that subway scene where she's like, we should do this, this, and this, and he doesn't hear her. And then he says, we should do this, this, and this, and it's the same things. They're now a team. Yeah. And that's great. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the episodes have in store for us. Very excited. This is a fun series. I'm having a blast. Again, I think it's insane that this is the same world where a man is in the Pacific going like,
well, hold on, Jesse.
But whatever.
Look, we saw the Pym arrow. Okay. He could shoot the guy in the giant sea with the Pym arrow and it would probably hurt. Okay.
And the arrow destroyed a bridge. Yeah. Also, the property damage alone, terrifying. Yeah. We're like, whatever. Doesn't matter. Loved every bit of that.
Like, how is that was one thing that maybe I have a little bit of issue with, is just the fact that bridge is destroyed. There's no way it's not. And they're not being chased by like the entirety of the U.S. government at this point.
I would love if there was a show called like Therapists of the MCU.
There was a show that was supposed to come out on, I think it was a DC show, where the entire show was them cleaning up superheroes' messes, but it got canceled after the first season. There's a comic called Damage Control, I think, as well, that's in the MCU that deals with that.
Yeah. I do think that's where superheroes like Miss Marvel come in, or even her entire like Young Avengers group, because they're the ones that are supposed to care about that. So I think it reinforces that idea of like, hey, people use this bridge to get to work. But I actually like what my favorite takeaway from that scene, Jesse, was that first of all, you get more of Hawkeye's personality, which somehow they couldn't write in for the life of them prior to like just him being like, we're not busting up a 72 Challenger. Like right there, you just know more about him. And it's a 2-second line. And then he's like, and the fucking car gets totaled anyway. Like you're learning so much about him just from that. And somehow they did not have any of those tiny little throwaway lines for him prior to now, like where that's established. The other thing I really like is that this kind of talks a little bit about what we were talking about, I think last week or the week before with Batman, where it's like, here's these small time criminals. And then like Batman just comes and like breaks all their, bones and leaves. And we have that where Ronan comes in. Like we see that this dude, Echo's dad, doesn't seem for all intents and purposes like a horrible human being that's murdering people, like they're obviously involved in some type of car chop shop deal. And that's it. Did he deserve to die for that? No, that's ridiculous. That's really sad and sick. And so I kind of like that it's kind of pointing that idea of like, well, are all criminals equal? Is someone that eats people, an actual serial killer, the same as like someone who is selling illegal car parts? No. And they don't deserve the same punishment. And it's ridiculous. And then having Kate Bishop slowly starting to go through that process with how deadly the arrows are, where it's so clear that Hawkeye has learned that lesson, where Clint has learned that lesson of like, no, pull your punches, like throw putty at the tires. Like these are just small time criminals, but also that he understands why they want revenge, because he knows that his reaction, or I should say Ronan's reaction back there, was not right, and that these people have every right to want to kill Ronan. Even him going in there, it's not to say, how dare you come after Ronan? It's like, hey, don't come after this kid. Like, she's not Ronan. I understand y'all wanting to kill Ronan. That makes sense. But like, she's not Ronan.
Right.
It's not, he's not infiltrating that group to bust them up or to arrest them. He's literally infiltrating it to throw them off her scent, because I think in some ways he thinks they're justified in their reaction.
Can I, you blew my mind while you were talking. My mind got blown because I realized, JP, you were talking about Jim Renner as an actor, and, they're letting him do his acting chops. At some point in the next 3 episodes, Clint must come to terms with the fact that in the first 3 episodes, he has never once admitted to being Ronan.
Yeah, he's afraid to admit to it.
And I think so, yeah, because he did the things Bronze was talking about. Like, he killed people that didn't deserve to die, and he was not in the right headspace. He did some messed up things. He went around the world murdering people, and I think he's afraid to admit that to himself. I think he's afraid to admit that to his family. I think he's afraid to look his kids in the eye.
His wife knows, 100%, doesn't she?
No, we have no reference.
It seems like him and his wife share literally everything.
We have no reference of that.
But you might be right. Maybe
I think he probably hid that part of his life.
Oh wait, she was gone. She got blipped.
Yeah, when they came back,
right.
He was an Avenger again.
You're right.
Yeah, dude. I think he is not acknowledging that part of his life. That's a huge plot point for him.
Chad does say she asked him if he got the suit. So either she's keeping her, or he's keeping the idea of like what the suit was from her.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't know what he did. I don't know. But
it seems like he tells everything.
We've never seen them have that conversation, though.
We've never seen Clint admit that he's Ronan to anyone at this point. Is the major point?
Yes.
Yeah.
On screen, we've never seen it happen.
Yeah.
And I think there needs to be a moment, and it'll probably happen, between our 2 main characters, that he will talk to her about, like, this is what that suit means. This is what I did.
That'll probably be like an episode 4 to 5 or like 5 to 6 thing where like they'll be in a room with Kingpin or something, and Kingpin will be like, "You're Ronan," and then Haley Steinfeld will realize like, "Oh, you're actually a fucking mass murderer. You're a crazy person."
Yeah, there has to be a moment,
and then there's that's how they're gonna wrap this up most likely.
Yeah, because I think that's super cool, and also because at this point, Clint as a character now has 2 people trying to kill him. At the end of Black Widow, and now with Echo, there are 2 people who want him dead because of what he did as Ronan. So he needs to confront that as a character at some point, which I think is like super cool. I think that's very cool, and I'm excited for that.
It makes Infinity War make sense with his Ronan.
His answer to her is very interesting when she says, "Well, why do these people hate Ronan?" When Kate Bishop asks that, right? His answer, or no, sorry. When Echo asks, what happened to him, his answer is very interesting. He says, "Oh, Black Widow killed Ronan."
Right.
Like, it's a very diplomatic answer in that, you kind of understand that it's, I don't know. It's like that. What do you call, like, a lie by omission? Like, that's technically true. But like, you're alive, and it's like, yeah, but that part of me is dead. And it's like, but like at some point, you have to acknowledge that you did this horrible stuff.
Right.
And once again, I think we see that in that when he talks about, even to Kate later, about why they're after Ronan and why they're after that suit, he still talks about it almost in the third person. Like, oh, well, Ronan went and did all this stuff to them. And so, of course, they justifiably want revenge. And the way he phrases it, and like I said, the way he pulls those dangerous arrows, because it's so clear he doesn't actually want to hurt them, it is very clear that he actually sides with the tracksuit mafia in that context. Like, he is on their side of like, them wanting Ronin is completely fine. Them coming after you for thinking you're Ronin is not. But them wanting Ronin, I don't have any beef with that. That makes complete sense to me. And so at some point he's going to have to confront, especially with the character like Echo, who's so sympathetic, of like, yo, I killed your dad. Over
he has to own up to all of it. Like that's
car parts.
Yeah.
Over
that's
nothing.
His character arc. Yeah, he needs to be like, I am Ronin, rather than Ronin was this guy. Yeah, that's a character arc for him, and that's his growth. And I think because, like, you know, maybe his wife knows, but does his wife know that he murdered like 1,000 dudes? Like, I have no clue. Could he tell her
his
that?
wife does
We've
seem
never
ride or
seen that
die.
moment.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
On some level, he does know that, like, it's somewhere in the back of his mind, because when they're talking about suits, I picked up on two things. Ronan wore a hood, and she says, you should wear a hood. And you could see he's like uncomfortable about the whole thing. I don't know if I'm reading too far into that. And then he says something about how his wife would divorce him if he put on that suit. Like, he plays it off as a joke, but it's also very clear that, like, he has some reticence to change his costume. Maybe I'm reading too far into it, but I read it as like, oh, he doesn't want to, like, last time he changed his costume, it was really bad, and he doesn't want to do that again. But then there's a line later on in that conversation that I think is very strong, where he says, I'm not someone to look up to. Like, on some level, he knows that he has done some shit. And that was part of his camaraderie with Black Widow, is that she also viewed herself as not someone to look up to. And that both of them have tried to spend their entire careers to be not noticeable, to be like shadow operatives, to not stick out. And he does not feel comfortable stepping into the limelight and being a hero for this kid, because he knows he has blood on his hands. And as much as he sits here and tries to disassociate from that character and it's very clear he's like turned the suit into the embodiment of that. Like, oh, well, I didn't do those things. Like, I did those things. Like, that suit did those things. This character did those things. And that's why he seems so reticent to change his look, because that scene to me read as like very, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I think, like, to me, I derived a lot of meaning from that, where he's just like, no, we're not changing the suit. I'm not wearing a hood. Because if you think of it through that lens, last time he wore a hood and last time he changed his suit, it was all bad.
It was not good. Yeah, it wasn't a good time. Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, but I think that all of this happening is such a good way to flesh out how good of a story Infinity War was, by actually like going into this Ronin stuff. Because I think there were bits of Infinity War where it's like, man, I wish they would have delved into that a little bit more, but this movie's already fucking way too long. It's already 2 parts. And so now that we're going back, and a lot of phase 4 is there's so many things, there's so many callbacks. And we've talked about that before, how they've gone back to the blip multiple times and talked about the ramifications of that and all of that type of stuff. And so now that we're getting more about the Ronin aspect, I think is awesome. I'm really into it.
And I love that they've given us the TV shows, you know, for being ups and downs and all over the place. I love that the TV shows take the time to delve a little deeper. And because in the movies, we've only seen, like, a great example is when everyone comes back, when everyone blips back. In the movies, all we got was the comedy version from Spider-Man, where the basketball team just shows up. And then in WandaVision, we get like the terrifying version where literally people appear in a hospital and it's chaos.
It's all tonal,
and I think being able to like see every, you know, aspect of the MCU and it being done through the TV shows, they're doing expanded universe very, very well. And that it's not like, here's a bunch of crap that definitely 100% is going to tie into something in the future. They're like taking things that already exist and expanding on it, rather than like, this is all set up for, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about what they're doing with it. And, you know, they take shows like Loki and they kind of like amp up everything else that already exists. And so huge. I mean, I love so far, Hawkeye, I was like, this is going to be my least, I expect the least out of this show. And I've been like very happy with what they're doing.
I've been a character that like
is kind of a bland, boring character. They've made that character super fun and I'm very excited. So
I do want to say that, and this actually solves a lot of the issues that I think Bronze had with the show so far in the first 2 episodes being so much setup. I think that when this was originally filmed, this was a movie.
Oh, yes.
And then, now they're like, wait a minute, we need people to come back to Disney Plus for 6 weeks. We need to fill a certain amount of time and not just like a one and done situation.
Oh, no, this
subscribe.
is JP.
It's 100% a movie. It's 6 episodes when like each episode literally just bleeds beautifully into the next one. Not saying that a lot of TV shows don't do that. It feels like a movie to me.
No, this is one. So one of the many, like, I literally did this with our YouTube Red show. One of the many things that exists is like straight up, they will be like, okay, what is your pitch for this thing? And then you just create a movie and then chop it up.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're absolutely right. And then when it's chopped up, then you can flesh it out a bit more and add stuff to like make it 40 some minutes per episode.
Right.
But, oh yeah, absolutely. This is straight up just a movie cut up into pieces. Was it going to be a movie originally? I don't know about that, but I know for sure this is like the script was a movie script. They broke up into 6 episodes. Absolutely.
It definitely has all the beats of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think like for me, it's one of those things where in the first 2 episodes, it definitely felt like the way they distributed the content. I was looking at the clock where I was like, this is really spread out.
Yeah.
And I think like the other disconnect for me is I like shows that are almost like D&D games where or almost like the Wolf and Cub Style. Like I loved Mandalorian.
Right.
And a lot of people hated the way it was chopped up, but that is not a movie. The first season, that is not a movie that's chopped. That is
Western. It's a Western show.
That's 10 very small, very like half of the loose ends are not tied. It's just like, well, we did this thing. Now we're off. And you move on to the next one. And I love that. I actually love, I think I like season 1 the most because of that, you know? So like switching from that style to like, you know, this movie style show, I feel like the editing or the pacing in the first 2 episodes was, I wish we had gotten some of those throwaway scenes in episode 3 and some of the good scenes from 3 in episode 2. Because I think they needed to start selling us on Clint and Kate in episode 2. But I feel like because I stuck with 3, but I wonder how many people are going to stick until 3. But if you were like me and you just weren't a fan of the first 2 episodes, I will be the first to tell you 3 is worth checking out. Because the issues you had with 1 and 2 will probably be absent from 3 if they were the same issues that I had.
Yeah.
Did you have the same? Because I had the same issues you had with the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, where I was like, "This is such a slow burn." Like what?
I didn't like
they
it.
like cranked it up, but the first 2 episodes felt like, all right. There was one weird thing that happened, and the rest of it was like a goofy comedy, and I'm not sure what this is that I'm watching. Yeah, I had the exact same WandaVision thought.
Yeah. WandaVision was like, I did not understand the hype. When I there was a moment where I was like, do I not like MCU stuff anymore? I remember actually telling you all that, where I was like, I thought maybe I'm burnt out. Maybe I don't like MCU stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Because everybody was just like losing their shit over WandaVision. I was watching it as it aired, and I was like, the first 2 episodes especially, I was like, is this what we're losing our shit over? Like, I just don't understand it. And then there was a movie that came out, I want to say, right after that. I was like, oh no, I still love MCU stuff. But I legit was like, am I bitter? Am I one of those grognards that just like hates everything that comes out?
What a grognar.
Well, you know, like people are always like, oh, you know, they just hate everything. And I was like, maybe. But then even like the first episode of Captain America and Winter Soldier, I was like, I loved it. I was like, oh yes, this is so cool. Okay, no, I don't hate MCU stuff. I just didn't like that. But the first 2 episodes.
But the difference is the first, and I will say this, I think I like the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier more than any of the other episodes. Because that first episode felt like a movie. It was so good.
Yes. I was at the edge of my seat, freaking out. I was like, I was so excited. I loved it. It had everything I wanted in a first episode. I loved the side characters. You know, I loved everything about it. I really loved that first episode. And then, like, there were other parts of the series I didn't like as much. But that first episode, I was like, yes.
They came out swinging.
This is what
it was great.
Yeah, this is what a movie about Sam should be like. I'm happy that this movie is here.
Yeah. But then,
I even like the pickup, like the Ford pickup commercial style bits where it's like, I'm Bucky and I'm on a boat. We're barbecuing America. I was like, yeah.
It's all that, but in Russian. Believe it or not, that's how that would go. Yeah.
I'm on a boat in barbecue. I'd like to make American.
Yes.
Yeah. But then I think the way they did Loki, I think they sold. He's not a fan of Russians. Apparently.
No, don't. Look, we've trained him very well. We're not going to have any spies in this house.
Do you like Bork? Huge fan. Have you seen my bird? Dog, do you know where my bird is?
He'll kill any birds he sees. He's trained bird killer.
Any bird?
Any bird.
Not my bird. I'll put whips on my hands and come spank.
Now I just want to see a fucking bird with whips on the next villain. I mean, I'm on board. I'm on board.
There's my bird. Amazing act. All I'm saying is, if I could just get an entire, there has to be like something on YouTube with just clips of him being like, "Where's my bird?" I'm gonna look that up.
You should
have
just
a fun podcast. I'm looking this up.
You should do one of those fan edits where I guess maybe we should do one of those fan edits where we retell Iron Man 2, but we do all the voice acting and just mute the film. Be incredible.
Oh my God. Like the voiceovers. You know, those somebody from Jesse's chat, Bill Nye, I said, I still wonder what happened to the criminals who got snapped. And now I'm like, yeah, does it count towards your sentence? Like if you're like, you're in jail for 12 years and you get snapped, does it count? Point. Or is it like, no, you start, like what happens?
Here's also the other thing to think, but you can even take it one step further. What about the people that were doing crimes when they got blipped? Like if they were fucking murdering people or they were like robbing something when they got blipped. That'd be a great start to a show. Someone blips back in and they're just like stabbing the air.
I'm still concerned about people who got blipped on planes in the middle of the sky. What happened to them, yo?
They already clarified that they were all able to land. Yeah.
They were all able to land in what?
Yeah, it was a problem solved by
crashed.
It was Banner that solved that problem, right? Didn't he come up with the solution for them?
They
explained
it. Said that everyone was safe or something. Like like he did it.
Oh yeah, Hulk snapped them into a safe spot, is what they said.
Yeah. It's just man.
Yeah.
That's the world was that's a complicated thing Thanos did. But here we are.
A little bit of breaking news, I guess you could call it. We were talking about Venom and Spider-Man earlier. Collider did an interview with Kevin Feige, and they asked him to speak about the inspiration for putting Venom into the MCU. And he said, you look at the obvious comic connotations between Venom and Spider-Man, and it is inherent. So the minute Sony made their Venom movie, and it worked as well as it did, and Tom Hardy became as iconic as he became as Venom. I don't know if that's real.
I don't know if that's
I don't know if that's real. Then the obvious question
he could become iconic.
True. He says, then the obvious question is, how do we start to merge them? So I feel like that's going to stick around for a while. It's going to be a
post-credit scene. It's post-credits for this Spider-Man movie, right? Right?
Here's the thing. Just like, oh, God damn it. Just like Jeremy Renner is an incredible actor, and he had not the greatest stuff to work with.
Tom Hardy.
Hardy.
Yeah.
There's fucking insanity levels of acting.
Very good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So if he gets like a great script to work with and like he's able to actually act and like chew some scenes up, I'm on board. I'm fucking on board.
Although Tom Hardy had amazing actor, but boy does he love to dip back into the Bane well. And like every voice, like if he does a character with a voice, it's like slightly into the. And so all I'm saying is go watch Peaky Blinders. Tom Hardy's character is a riot.
He's going to be in season 6.
I love that character. Incredible.
Have you seen Ronson, by the way? I think it's Ronson. What's his?
Ronson.
What was the film, chat, where he plays like the entire thing? Not Ronson. Bronson. I forgot the B.
Oh, yeah. Dude is an amazing actor. Yeah, but I love he always goes into that like ridiculous like, and then I'm gonna talk like this for a little bit. That's right. This is acting. I love him. I love it.
Some of that is because these people keep fucking having him voice act.
Right.
And if you watch his style, like back from like even before Batman when he played Bane, right? Like he does a lot of acting with his face. Like a shit ton. There's some people who don't, but he is not one of those people. A lot of his acting is done with his face and non-verbally, right?
Yeah.
So putting a mask on that guy is almost unfucking fair because that's not the type of acting that I've seen him shine in personally. But when it comes to like if you give him access to his full kit, like he'll turn it. He's one of my favorite characters in Peaky Blinders, and he plays a total ass in that show. But he kills it.
He's great though.
He's given his whole kit to use and do a very good job with. And someone brought up Mad Max, same deal. Even if you give him a non-verbal role, he will kill it. Even if he has 2 lines in the whole film, because he's a facial actor. But then these people keep having him voice act, you know, as Venom or as Bane, and to a certain extent. I just don't think that's fair because that's not necessarily his skill set. There are some people who can do voices and can act. I personally don't consider Tom Hardy one of those actors. I don't understand why they didn't just have him do Eddie Brock and have someone else come in and do Venom. Like, why are you making him do that? I know that I wouldn't be able to, you know? So, like, why have someone else come in, be like, oh, just be a voice actor. Go.
Yeah.
What's so
funny
funny about Venom
seats,
is...
though.
Yeah, like he is such an intense actor. Like he has this intensity about him when he does. It's a now
that you say that, I do want to see him. I want to see Jeremy Renner. I want to see the person that we're talking about right now that I'm just interrupted you and I'm blanking on his name. And then I want to see
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, sorry, Tom Hardy. I blank on Tom Hardy. Yeah, I want to see
Jeremy
Renner.
Like, who do you mean?
Jeremy Renner and Tom Hardy in a scene together. And then there's another actor who's I'm also blanking on because I just got texted something and now I'm focusing on that. So Jesse, I'm going to uninterrupt what you were saying and I'll come back to it afterwards.
You just pulled my mom. You were like, and then
look,
so a thing and another thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, you just handed this hot potato back to me, and I'm just like, I have no idea what you were talking about.
Look, I get one of these a year. I'm using it right now. All right, this is my mulligan. All right, this is my show mulligan. Go ahead, Jesse, please.
Who's the other person? I gotta know who the third person is.
It'll come to me soon, as soon as I answer this text. Go ahead.
All I'm saying is he's a very intense actor, and what makes Venom funny is all these scenes with him being like super intense or like extra sweaty or just like really in the moment, and then the background is like, oh, hello, Eddie. What are you doing? It's like a wild movie. Is all I'm saying. And I think I don't know what his role in the MCU will be, but I'm hoping that they think it through. Think it through is all I'm saying. You can't just throw Venom in there because if you just add Venom alone in the MCU, like just added, is a weird choice, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like it doesn't just automatically fit. You know what I mean?
I do think that I agree with you guys that they definitely shouldn't count him out and assume that he's going to be horrible, because another interesting thing to note is when Venom, the first movie, released, in an interview, in multiple interviews, I believe, Tom Hardy was quoted as saying different variations of like, "Oh, my favorite 70 minutes of the film was cut." Like he said that multiple times. Multiple times he said, "My favorite 70 minutes of the film was cut," or like, "Oh, this is just what you guys are saying. Like you haven't seen the other 70 minutes that was cut and how great it was." So I think like there probably is a lot of footage where he did feel like he nailed it that ultimately didn't serve the plot, so it got cut. But it's like sometimes that's what you need to sell you on a character, is the stuff that's not integral to plot but is integral to like character building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I am curious on seeing what those scenes were because maybe that would sell us on why he makes sense for the MCU, and we'll never like we can't see it. I'm not
Could be
saying
the case.
release the Tom Hardy cut. It's like I am curious on like what was in those 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he said it multiple times. Like, obviously, it was bothering him. I don't think he thought that what the audience was saying was a clear, like a good representation of the work he thought he did.
Right. All right. I've collected my thoughts. I'm ready to now reintroduce my idea that I asked for the mulligan on.
I can't wait to hear what this.
However, in Googling, so I don't fuck up the names, I realized that I can get 2 out of 3 of this in a movie that already exists. But I want to see a film that's got Jon Bernthal, Tom Hardy, and Jeremy Renner all in the same scene. And if you throw in Tom Holland in there, that might actually just sweeten the deal a little bit for some comedy factor. Because those 4 in a film would just be absolutely hilarious. I don't know if it would work in the MCU because then that means that the Punisher, Venom, and Hawkeye are somehow going to work together.
That sounds like a very intense, like,
can you imagine how like
military guys
they
contracted to pull Tom Holland out of a situation?
They're going to go
like,
save Spider-Man from like.
It sounds like a Netflix movie. Yeah, but like I'm in. Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
That would be super intense.
But they were already in a movie.
They would all have some tie to, I'm trying to think, because like based off of like the characters in the comic book lore, they could all have some beef with Kingpin.
Good, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Eddie would, Punisher would, and Hawkeye would. So like you could have, and so is Spider-Man. So like you could have them in a taking down Kingpin movie.
Yeah.
Also seeing those
Can you
3
add
angry
Vincent
white
D'Onofrio
dudes
to that
just
mix?
being, that's like too much for me.
Wait, what was
Jon
that, Bronze?
Bernthal is, like having those like 3 like just gruff white men is too much for me. Like
there was
so
a
good.
Netflix movie that came out a couple years ago that had Ben Affleck at the helm, and it was I forgot who else was in that movie, but it had like the rough guy plot to it, and they literally had to go somewhere as like a black ops team to
That is the Netflix goldmine
thing. Yeah, Triple Frontier. That was the name of it. Triple Frontier. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've watched it. It wasn't terrible. It had Eric. I think it had Eric Bana and Oscar Isaac in it.
Yeah, it's the one with like, we gotta go in.
Yeah.
And rescue. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're going into like some house that's like the most dangerous house. Then they have to like maybe escort the gold or something from it across the. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, though, Jon Bernthal and Jeremy Renner were in a movie called Wind River that was very good. That came out in 2017. So I might have to go back and watch that because I get 2 out of 3.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah.
I love the Bernthal. I love him so much.
He's
oh
fantastic.
my God. He's the world's most beautiful, ugly man. God bless him. God bless his voice.
You should watch
everything about him.
He did a Hot Ones like couple 6
I
months
know.
ago. It's great.
He's perfect.
Fantastic.
I watched it. He's perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
I love him. This man walked on the E3 stage with a perfectly trained pit bull. I melted. I was like, how dare, and he tucks his pants into his boots. That's bronze kryptonite. You cannot tuck your pants into your boots.
I don't know
oh
if
my
that's,
God.
I don't know if that's kryptonite or if that's just shark bait for bronze, but maybe
Love
a little
that.
bit of both.
That's bait. Is what that is. That's bait.
Yeah, that's funny on multiple levels. Really, when you think about it, if you go look at who's in that meme, with the little joke explaining there. Anyways, Hawkeye episode 3. It's good. I think we were all on board. I'm excited to see where episode 4 is. And of course, we got to mention whose hand was that? Was that Vincent's hand? Are we going to see the old Kingpin this week?
God, I hope.
He's got to be in there.
I don't think it's going to be this week. I think they're going to hold off to the very end.
Well,
I think
if they do, when does, hold on.
They're going to do that terrible thing where everyone's like, the boss.
When does Spider-Man come out?
You know, the guy.
If Spider-Man comes out the 17th, that means they could do it next week because that'd be in the same week that we get Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio in the same MCU
I don't think it's
thing.
going to happen. I think it's going to be the end of the last episode.
Could be the 22nd.
Like Echo going back and then like, welcome home. And it's going to be Vincent D'Onofrio. That's it. That's all we're going to get.
It would be a great tie-in after the fact too. Once you see Charlie Cox with the Spooderman, than to have him show up.
Mm-hmm.
Could work. Could work. Could be
Also, yo, there was a scene where she was like staring at that wall, and I was like, oh man, that's the D'Onofrio thing, staring at that damn painting.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
All the signs are there. I want it. I want it so badly.
Sorry, the dog's going crazy. Yeah, I'm excited. I Hawkeye episode 3 re-solidified the fact that I'm into that show, and I'm now looking forward to it. And now with Spider-Man, I'm starting to get a little bit excited for Spider-Man.
Also, by the way, just a
little
question.
Yeah.
We all agree the mom's the villain, right? We can all agree on
100%.
this?
Yes, 100%.
100% the mom
the
killed that
unfortunate
dude.
thing is, it's not because of the way the show's written. It's because that actress has been typecast to always be the good
She's
person.
always the villain.
That's the bad person.
Yes! 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 I've been thinking about that since the beginning. Like, that's her.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely still feel that way, but I also feel like this is where I'm going to overthink it. Like Jesse always says, where I'm like, there's no way they would make it that obvious and then not give us a twist, right, Jesse? And Jesse's always like, except this is a Marvel film, Bronze, so that that's exactly what's going to happen. Because her being like, well, and do you think it's coincidence that Jack was killed by a sword? And at that moment, he's walking past 2 swords mounted to her mom's wall, and he says, by a sword, you say? Like, Jeremy Renner, let me retake that back because that's the actor's name. But, Hawkeye's fucking Clint's brain is already there. Because he's literally walking past the swords mounted on her home wall saying, by a sword, you say?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, would they have been so blatant with that if it was going to be her? And then this is where Jesse's like, yes, Bron.
Because you saw them try to throw up the smoke screen of like, oh, it's the new husband for sure.
Well,
wink.
He is a
And
character,
like,
though.
No.
Unless for some reason they're going to gender bend the character from the comic, which is the swordsman. And that could be her mom. So it could be the sword.
I mean, look what they did to Taskmaster.
Right.
We can't be sure.
Yeah. Well, with Taskmaster, they gender bent the character, but they also just destroyed it, right? They just they didn't make it important whatsoever. All right.
It turned it into like a AI, right? Or like a protocol versus like somebody who could.
It was actually weird. My recollection of what happened in Black Widow is at the end of that, somehow someone gets the Infinity Stones and just snaps away Taskmaster and never seen again. They just forget the character existed so they can reintroduce them. It's weird.
The thing about this new character is that she, like all origin stories, needs an inciting incident that transforms her into a hero because some trauma. That's like every superhero thing. And she comes from like a rich ass family, and you could say like, oh, that's because her trauma was experiencing the 2012 invasion of New York. Nah, dude, it's gonna be finding out her mom is a psycho killer. Watch it happen. Watch it happen.
Well, and this is a thread. I think once again, this is why episode 3 is clicking for me, is because like we're finally seeing Clint's take on this, and like this girl who acts like her life is so tough and lives in this fucking penthouse that it comes from generational wealth and breaks the clock tower, and her mom signs the check and she has her own apartment. Like, it's hard because I don't know about John. Most of us are fucking broke, and I'm not saying we want to go out and see broke characters, but like it's like hard for you to empathize with it. But then seeing Clint immediately come into her house and be like, I'm in the wrong line of work, that makes it immediately relatable, where it's like, okay, so we are acknowledging that this is like an insane amount of wealth this girl has, right? Like, we're acknowledging that even the job she has through her mom. So I was like, so is there anything you've done on your own? Like, not to be rude, but I'm like, you work for your mom, and yet you're like sitting here talking about, like, I don't know. It was hard for me personally. Maybe that's my own personal issues. But then in this one, they talk about all of it. Like, they literally address each and every part of that, where Clint's like, you're overconfident, you're overprivileged, and holy shit, you live like this, bitch. Like, he has all of those reactions, and I was like, I feel validated.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic because he walks in the room and he's just kind of like, Jesus Christ. Like, it's fantastic when he first walked in. I loved it.
In New York City, she lives like that.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. The other thing that I really enjoyed is that they finally kind of talk about how self-centered she is, right? Because she's like, oh yeah, you're going to stay here, going to help me with this thing. What's the rush? Let's crack this open. And then she hears his kid talking about him not being home for Christmas. And that is the first time she stops and realizes that, like,
oh, fuck. Yeah.
Oh, like, this man has a family, and I'm over here like, well, you got to teach me everything you know. We're going to hang out. We're going to do this. And then she hears his kids, and she sees the hurt in his face at potentially not being home for Christmas. So that's the first time she's like, this isn't just my hero. This isn't just an Avenger. This is a living, breathing man with children and other obligations. And I've been over here like, well, no, I finally met you. So go ahead and train me and make me a superhero. And right before that, he talks about sacrifice, that being a hero involves sacrifice. You have to sacrifice pieces of yourself that you can't get back. And you can tell she doesn't really get it. And then she listens to him explain to his kid how he can't be there for movie night. And she's seeing in real time that, oh, like, this is the sacrifice he was talking about. Like, he's over here fixing my mess and solving my problems because he's a superhero and he has to give up family time. But to roll it back a bit, I think why we're going to find out why her mom is a villain and what's happening that hasn't been addressed yet, but I've been thinking about it since episode 1. Their family was in financial straits in episode 1. They're talking about selling the penthouse.
Yeah.
They're talking about something. We don't know what it is. But then we fast forward and these people are fucking rich. So is it a loan from Kingpin? Is it a, like, what is it? Like, they got bailed out by someone or something. Like, how did they go from, we have to sell this property that, and then in this episode, she talks about how her grandfather built the building. Like, so selling this penthouse is like selling your family legacy to a certain extent, right? Like, she's like, and yet when we fast forward, there is no financial problems. And it's never discussed how her mom got them out of that. How they went from, we're going to have to sell this. So it's like, did she kill her husband and collect the policy?
Well, yeah.
We also never see her dad die in the alien type. We don't see her dad die.
So there's two theories there. You bring up, someone in chat brings up, or maybe you did as well, the fact that Kingpin bailed them out, which is, I think, a great idea.
That's one theory.
That's one theory.
Yeah.
I think it also could have been the fact that the dad was some sort of like bad dude, but he was terrible with money. And then the mom took over and actually, like, it became profitable, or whatever they do became profitable. I like the theory, though, that we never actually get a reason why Kingpin is so fucking wealthy, except that he's like this crime lord. And so if after the Avengers started fucking shit up, he goes around and starts bailing all these people out of, like, issues like that, and then they owe dividends on that. Maybe that's how he came into, like, his wealth, is by running all of New York and not just Hell's Kitchen.
Well, that's the idea. Like, the Kingpin isn't supposed to be like the dude like, he's the dude in the background of the background of the background.
Right.
And everyone owes him something, and he's always like, that's the dude you're afraid of. And I think they sell it very well in this show where they're like, that guy, everyone like whispers of it. Like that, that I think is very well. I also I wrote down 3 things because I knew I'd forget these.
Okay.
1, someone in chat asked if New York was expensive. One of the most expensive cities in the world. So if you're living rich in New York, you are very wealthy.
Yes.
2, speaking of wealth,
dumb rich.
The fact that Clint comments on how wealthy they are, yet he has spent considerable time with Tony Stark, shows how exorbitant their wealth is compared to the way Tony displayed his wealth. Like, they are just flaunting it. I think that's interesting.
She broke a clock tower, and her mom was like annoyed.
I'll pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
before you jump
phone
on,
call,
didn't they also say that someone, like, wasn't the clock tower or something related to someone else in the MCU? Or am I misremembering that?
I don't know about that.
Okay. I thought there was a name that was attached to it that was like a thing. Was it Stane? Oh, yeah. It was Jebediah Stane from Iron Man. Obadiah Stane. Yeah. Tony's mentor. Right. I remember that.
Jebediah Stane.
It was something to die. Yeah. I'm
also,
gonna die.
I just want to say the scene with Clint and his son, I think, did a better job of establishing an Avenger with a family than the scene from Avengers 2. Where you literally went to his home, you saw his family, you saw all that shit, and you didn't feel like, all right, well, this guy, it felt like, oh, he has a family, that's cute, rather than like, this dude has a family, and he's putting himself in harm's way, and he like is missing holidays in his kids' lives. And I think this one scene set that up so much better than the entirety of that like 20-minute chunk in Age of Ultron. I don't know. I think they're doing
Can I
good
say
stuff.
another kind of crackhead theory?
I don't know about crackhead.
Go
Are
on.
you gonna do crack while you say it? Because I can't show that.
No, it's my whole like, like how sometimes I have spider web brain, and then Jesse's like, that's cool, but that's not what it's gonna be because that's too cool. I have one of those crackhead theories. Okay,
All right,
let's do this.
So Kate talks about how her mom's company has very extensive records on all of the black market dealings and criminal underworld in the city.
Right.
What if she is working with the swordsman, and because she has the goings on of all this, she was in charge of the black market auction all along, and she knows her husband's a bad guy, and she's okay with it because they both killed Jake, and they're both in it together, and they're both criminals. And she sent her husband down there to, help take part in that black market auction and keep an eye on it because she knows of all the criminals, and she's been fucking arranging half of these black market dealings. Like for Kate to say that she has records on all these people, you have to wonder, okay, well, if she has records on all these people, then that means she has records on all their like on all their shit. Maybe she's been pulling the strings the whole time and arranging these auctions because she knows who they all are. Like she
could be running it all for Kingpin.
Arrange this.
That was the whole point of the party,
she could be
right?
inviting them all. Yeah, she could invite them all to these black market auctions because she knows who the criminal underground is because she has access to all that fucking information.
The party was a cover. The mom, and more importantly, can we just say, everyone thought that scene where that old man was like, your mother, and like came at her so hard about her mom. That old man, I think we all thought he was a piece of shit. Maybe that was the one good guy in the entire room who was like, this lady, oh, you don't know about your mama. And then they have a fight. They have a fight in in that private room. I don't know what that fight was about. That fight seems like
we'll probably get the audio for that. Like they will start episode 5 or 6 with that fight, and then it'll jump back to present time or some shit.
Yeah.
I think he's crooked too, because he's at the auction.
Oh, yeah,
but I think she crosses she crosses a line that he's not willing to cross, which might be weapons or stolen Avengers equipment that she's selling to, black market people. Because some of that stuff is like actual like just pieces of history. They're talking about fossils and stuff. So maybe that's how this started, is like a bunch of rich people / criminal people, because everyone knows like fine art is used as a laundering scheme. And this is covered once again with Zemo. Remember back in Captain America Winter Soldier, they discuss
that would have been awesome if he was at the auction, by the way.
I mean, I have expected him to be there. I'm not gonna lie. I have expected him to be there.
Just that they're like listening to music in an iPod or something.
Yeah. Because they talk about it in that film or that show where they're basically talking about how all of these fine art, all of these like rare collectibles, they're used by like crime families to basically store their wealth and launder their money, right? And so then you have this black market auction in this basement at this party, and it's a bunch of rich people and they're buying fossils and stuff. And then all of a sudden you start seeing suits and swords come out, and there's watches to get into the Avengers Tower or something like that. And it makes you wonder if that's the line she's crossing, is going from, oh yeah, I'm arranging these like black market dealings of stolen artifacts, to like, oh, I'm arranging these black market dealings of stolen weapons. And that's where he's like yelling at her in the office and being like, you can't do that. Like, you can't be selling these swords and stuff like that. And she's like, I can do what I want. And then she has him killed by her own husband, but she's aware of it the whole time. And she's using her husband.
I've got a big brain idea.
Oh my God.
I think Jesse has one as well. Mine's dumb though. I think Jesse's might be real.
Go for it.
All right, here's my dumb idea. I think she was talking to the old guy about NFTs, and he was like, no, we can't change the entire option to sell NFTs. What are you doing? And then she killed him for it.
Well, I mean, that sounds like an NFT bro to me. They would definitely murder you. Anyway, I just realized, Bronze, you were talking the watch. They keep talking about we got to find the watch.
Right.
Is it just
Yes.
literally like the Tony Stark
Watch.
make you Iron Man watch?
Yeah, probably.
Did I not realize that? I was like, oh, what is this watch? Am I dumb for not immediately knowing that's what they were talking
They
about?
haven't mentioned it. Yeah. The other, something to think about, depending on where that watch goes, I wonder if that makes its way to Riri somehow. I don't know how it
Are
would
we
get
up
there.
to Armor War? Is this the setup for Armor Wars then?
Oh, this could be the tie-in for Armor Wars, actually. Is
The
them
watch
getting,
has huge
getting that
significance,
watch.
Right?
That's pretty clever.
It just very clearly goes from like, oh, this stuff is illegal, but well,
maybe,
not culturally harmless, but harmless to like weapons.
do you think maybe that's the scene at the end of episode 6? Maybe this is our fan scene for this show. Is Kingpin meeting with Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character and handing her the fucking watch. And it starts Armor Wars.
I can't believe I did not put any of that together until Bronze mentioned that. Like, I feel so dumb. I was like, what
Sharon,
watch is so important? Is like a time travel watch? What is this watch? And no, it didn't even click in my mind. They were talking about Tony
they got
Stark.
it from the Avengers Tower? Don't
yes.
they say
they definitely said they got it from the compound.
It's in the rubble of the compound. Yeah.
Yes. And Tony Stark is dead, so like all of his shit would still be there.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. I'm such a dumb. Didn't even cross my mind that's what they were thinking.
Or Kingpin puts the watch on and becomes Iron Man. That's another
Iron
great.
Pin? Iron King.
Iron
oh my
Pin?
God.
Oh
Iron
my God.
Pin.
Okay, so I thought you said
incredible.
Iron Pin. I was like, that's a horrible fucking name.
No, I did say Iron Pin first,
All
then I
right.
retconned it to Iron King, which is way better.
Iron
But
Pin's
Iron
gonna be
Pin,
fucking Blackabar Boltigan. What the fuck is his name?
Blackagar Boltigan versus the Iron Pin.
Yeah.
Although Iron King is a great name for a Kingpin Iron Man crossover.
True.
I like that a lot.
Has Iron Man ever had a suit? Did Kingpin ever have a suit in any of the comics?
Never. Not
He's
once.
always just had like his white and purple pants.
His whole thing is he didn't need to. He was just like a strong guy who everyone else did the work for him. Then he'd be in the background like, I hate these guys.
I'm gonna see.
I don't think so.
Well, what's also
definitely
interesting
would
is
remember
Brochuk
that.
is saying, I love how easy it is for criminals to get a hold of Stark Tech since the Battle of New York. Yeah, which is seamlessly set up with like the Vulture, right?
Yep.
Where it's
Yeah.
well, these large scale cleanup operations, like you're paying these people to like, basically go through and requisition this stuff for you. This is like the problem with private industry stuff, right? And then you then have the question of like, well, who owns this or how much are they getting paid on this stuff? And it's like, yeah, you would have normal construction workers cleaning up the rubble and being like, oh, here's an AI. Here's here's a gauntlet, here's a Captain America shield. Like, because like who else would go in and clean all that up?
Right.
Normal people, and then the broke people. So imagine just one of them finding like something rare and being like, why don't I just put this in my pocket, say I didn't find it and sell it?
Yeah. I started reading about Kingpin's suit now. I started laughing because it's some comic book bullshit. Fisk sometime carries a quote obliterator cane, a walking stick that conceals a laser weapon that can vaporize a handgun or a person's head at close range. So he's got a laser.
I mean,
stick.
let's remember Thanos flew in a yellow helicopter. So like,
and Kingpin
comics
gave it
be
to
crazy.
him. 100%. Where'd he get it from? Kingpin gave it to him. 100%. 100%.
Wait,
just be like that
Kingpin
sometimes.
gave Thanos his helicopter?
I don't think
Is
that's
this fan theory?
I don't think that's canonical.
It is now. I
It
can
is,
see
though.
Kingpin
I mean,
doing.
How else
Yeah.
would an alien get a helicopter? He came to Earth. Kingpin was like, "Here,
You need
take
to,
my.
you
I put
need
your
to get,
face on the side of it.
you got to get around better. Here, have a helicopter. I'll put your name on
Walking's
it.
for idiots. Get in the helicopter." Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they're both thick boys, so he would have
Yeah.
designed one that could fit Thanos.
Yeah.
Because not every
Absolutely.
helicopter could, Thanos is a big boy. And I feel like Kingpin would understand that. I feel like he'd be like,
yeah.
these are extra wide seats because we're thick boys.
It's true.
Yeah. Look, that dude, he gets it. He's like, "Look, I got you, Thanos," and he's like, "Thank you, bro." And they like fist bump.
Yep. Canonical.
They're friends. They're good to each other. They take care of each other, those boys. Yeah.
I agree. Ollie agrees as well. He gets the head pats.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think are we good? We're getting into
Where do you
weird.
shop at?
Weird
I
fan
shopped down the
theories.
street. At the big and
That's
tall
a very
store.
existential question.
Are
This
we
is a
good?
very existential question. Are we good?
Are we good?
I don't know.
Are
Do we
good?
think any of these theories, to put a cap on it, are what is our prevailing theory? Do we think she's evil? Do
Oh,
we
I think-
think they're both evil?
I think
Do we
she's definitely evil. I think the dad's probably like a gray character, and I 100% think that Kingpin is going to meet Julia. I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is going to show up some point in this and get that watch, and it's going to start off Armor Wars. I also think in the next episode or the episode after that, Yelena's going to show up as well. She's 100% in the show, so I don't know when she's going to pop in, but probably the next episode.
I also have to say, I feel like, not to be rude, but I got to say it, based off of what we've seen, Yelena's going to beat the shit out of Kate Bishop, right? Because that bitch is
Probably.
hard as fuck.
If anything,
Like,
she
I
might.
just don't know how they're going to fight her because I'm like, yo, she's going to beat the brakes off of the two of
I
you.
can't wait for them to fight. Oh
If
my
anything,
God.
she might be like, "Damn, you're actually like a pretty competent fighter. Let me help you."
Oh, you're such a competent fighter. What if we kiss now? Like, oh yeah, that'd be
What?
great. Right?
Sure. Yeah,
That's- I watched The Matrix. You don't know anyone unless you fight them.
that's true. That's true.
And then you realize you love them.
I don't know why my.
First comes the fighting.
I don't know why
Then
my.
You
comes
watch
the
too
love.
much anime. For someone who calls me a weeb, you watch
Whoa.
a lot of anime, bro. You have anime
Bronze?
brain.
Bronze. It's not anime. It's hentai. Get it right. Keep it classy.
It's not yaoi.
I just
You're
don't
not into the
know
yaoi life.
why. I just don't know why you'd call me a weeb. You know, I don't know why. I have no clue. I've been told that I'm a weeb multiple times. You know, I don't know, but
Also, to any viewers,
Sorry.
to any viewers that are watching, don't watch or don't Google yaoi unless you're interested. But don't Google it.
I mean, look.
Don't listen
Get
to what
what,
I'm
get
saying.
what you want. Get what you want out of the world.
Could also,
only get one go around,
Yuri,
enjoy.
yaoi,
Yeah,
the
what you want.
variety spice of life. Okay.
Yeah.
Spice of life.
Spice it up, baby.
That's how most of the yaois begin, with that very line.
Spice it up, baby. I need to make a series
But in
of
Japanese.
manga where the very first line is always "Spice it up, baby." It's like a theme.
What is your superhero or your character's name, like Pepper or some shit?
Yeah, pepper.
Yeah.
oh, can we talk about that since that's MCU related? Did y'all
Pepper
see
Potts?
Gwyneth Paltrow?
What?
Speaking of Pepper,
What?
yeah, Pepper Potts. Okay, so Gwyneth Paltrow. Someone asked her a question. She was answering questions. I think it was on Instagram. Someone asked her, "Have you seen Hawkeye?" And she responded with, "No, what's that?" And so now there's become this like ongoing thread of like hilarious clips of her not remembering she was in MCU films and like her arguing
No, I don't
that she
think
was
it's
not in Spider-Man. She was like, "I wasn't in Spider-Man." Like there's actual footage and they're like, "No, you were." Remember the conference at the end? She's like, "I was not in Spider-Man.
No,
I was
I
never
just-
in Spider-Man."
I just think she's an old pro, right? She doesn't want Feige in her text and her fucking DMs blowing her up for leaking shit. She just deny every
No,
single time.
No, it's not true. Sebastian Stan has introduced himself to her 3 times, and there's clips of her on the red carpet. I'm telling you, this is it became a thread. Her saying she didn't know what Hawkeye was. There was a thread of her being like, "Who's that?" And her co-star being like,
man.
"That's Sebastian Stan. That's Winter Soldier." And she said, "Oh." And then Tom Holland said he said the funnest thing about making Spider-Man movies is reintroducing yourself to Gwyneth Paltrow 3 times. Because every single time he's met her, he has had to reintroduce himself to Gwyneth Paltrow. And there's even a photo that she put on Instagram of Tom Holland, Tony Stark, and her. And she said, "Me, Robert Downey Jr., and that other guy." She still doesn't fucking know who she is. And it became this whole thread of Gwyneth Paltrow just not knowing who Sebastian Stan and Tom Holland are. And an interview with her cooking, talking about how she was not in Spider-Man.
It's like, look, don't do Goop, okay? Don't do Goop. Don't put crystals in your
tell
body.
You
okay.
The amount of times I've met people in this town, and then I've met them 8 more times, and there's, oh, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm like,
look, admittedly,
yep,
I have done that before. It's very easy to happen.
Sure. However, you haven't shot a movie with them. So, like, you didn't spend a lot of time on a red carpet tour with them either. Yeah. I feel like if you were in like a press thing, you would know the person.
I will not tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story on air because I'm that embarrassed. But I do have one very particular moment of meeting someone and thinking that there's someone else and continuing throughout the night to tell stories to this person, thinking they were someone else, and I was not corrected at all by this person. And I still, to this day, think back on that moment like...
I think it's funny that they didn't correct you. They just let you do it.
Well, it just shows, I mean, it speaks to how nice this person is, ultimately.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I just, I think that adds to the comedy of the stories. They're like, well, I don't want to embarrass him.
Yeah. Sorry, they're doing construction outside and there's screws happening and Ollie's losing his goddamn mind that it's... Can you guys hear that or no?
It's a perfect place to call.
Here, hold on.
A little bit. Now we can.
Oh my God. Whoa.
Yeah, I turned my mic up there. It's
Shout
fun
out to
time.
technology. I had no clue.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's fun time.
That RTX noise canceling.
Well, this is just the processor on the, sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks NVIDIA for the sponsor, for RTX.
If NVIDIA wants to sponsor us, oh my God.
Yeah.
Give me that graphics card money, baby.
True.
Or just graphics cards, and I can sell them for money.
There's no
baby.
graphics cards money. They just hand you a graphics card. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll go to eBay right now. It's one of those things where you just make money,
Yeah.
The money makes money for you. Anyways, let's do some shout outs and we'll call this a show. We'll be back next week as well. Episode 4 of Hawkeye. I guess unless Marvel wants to keep dropping giant bombs like Charlie Cox is in the MCU officially, and then we'll keep covering that stuff. But anyways, Bronze, do some shout outs. Where can people check you out? What do you got going on?
Hi, hello. I'm ThatBronzeGirl. December 10th to 12th, I will be in Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged. So if you're going, come say hi. I'm going to be in the Acquisitions Incorporated
Bronze.
show on Saturday night. Yes.
When you say through the 12th you're in Philadelphia, does that mean you're flying back Monday?
Yes.
So does that mean there's no show next week?
Oh, no. I will be back for the show.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I specifically booked it so I'd be back. I think I have a red eye, so I should be fine. Or wait, no, maybe I moved it up. I think I have a red eye there. I'll be back for the show.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. So yes, I will be in Philadelphia for PAX Unplugged. So come say hi, come watch the show if you want to on the main stage on Saturday night. But before I go, I will be playing games on my stream, so come spend time with me before I head out. Yesterday, we beat Halo Reach on stream. It was my first time playing it, and in the 10 years since it came out, and I cried like a baby. So now I kind of want to play through all of the Halo games, so maybe that'll be what this week is.
Oh.
Awesome. Jesse, some shout-outs.
Yeah, I had to give Bronze a hard time because I'm headed to Chicago for a live show on Sunday, the 12th. And so I fly back night of the 13th. So I'll be here, but I was like, oh, I'm going to give Bronze a hard time because
So we're going to get Hotel Jesse?
Yes, you're going to get Hotel Jesse.
Oh.
Get ready.
Hotel
The best Jesse. And so I'll crank up the red saturation or whatever. But yeah, hey, I guess, I'll be doing a bunch of stuff, but none of it too important on my end because they have to
You're
prep
doing
to
a live
leave
show.
for a
What are you
few
talking
days.
about?
Yeah. I said it. Well, I was getting to
okay.
that.
Okay.
I'm prepping to leave, and then I'm going to Chicago, and then Sunday night at the Lincoln Hall, a great venue. We've been there before. It's incredible, super fun. And that will we're doing a live show on Sunday, so we'd love for you to come see Cox and Crendor live. I think there are like literally 10 tickets left, but like, hey, buy them anyway, and we'll just say it's sold out. Right? You don't even have to be there. That's a hell of a pitch. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, and then I'll be back to see y'all next Monday. Excited.
Awesome.
Jesse out here sounds like the streamers that are like, even if you're not watching my stream, open a tab.
Yo, I
have
like
it
the idea
there.
of being able to say that we sold out. 10 tickets is so close. Just someone. If I gotta buy them, I'll buy them. Like, oh yeah, we're totally sold out. That's all I'm saying. It just sounds better. It makes me feel good inside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. I'll do shout outs here real quick. What are we doing after this? JPN trailer time. See what's going on in the world of video games. Then we're going to jump back into Shadowbringers. I think I'm finishing Shadowbringers tomorrow. I'm not going to say anything other than that. So if you want to watch that, by all means, feel free to come on by. Wednesday, Halo Infinite launches. So we'll be checking that out. Drop Frames has been moved to Sunday. Doing the Game Awards show on Thursday. Me, Jericho, Zeke, and Co for that. That's already up on the, did I say Shadowbringers? Whatever. Endwalker chat. You'll figure it out. You'll get there eventually. But yeah, kind of a busy couple days. So they're also doing construction through all this. And Aaron leaves tomorrow to go out of town. So busy week for me as I am taking over the house duties and all the construction crap. And why is your camera all messed up? What did you do?
I have no clue.
That's on you.
Trying
That's
to go
not
red?
me.
Were you trying to go red? What's
That's
going
not
on
me.
over there?
It's all
No, it's me. I guess I dined. I don't know what
It looks
happened.
like you're behind a screen. Like there's like a grain effect. It looks like you are coming through a TV, like you're broadcasting from 1950.
I think your camera's dying. I don't know.
No.
It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry
We'll figure
about
it out and be back next week. We gotta go. Oh God, I think your camera is dying. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys then. Have a good rest of your week. We're out of here. Bye-bye.